All right, it's 7:07, Monday, April 8th, 2024. I'm going to call a regular council meeting to order. Madam Secretary, you want to take roll?
Mark Campbell. David Dryden.
Here.
Dave Kinsler.
Here.
John Crow.
Here.
JT Trevino.
Here.
Robert Simmons.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, 1.4 is mayor's minutes, and I put that on there because our last council meeting, if you weren't here, was a pretty active meeting. And I want to apologize to Ken Swaner. Ken, if you can stand up. I apologize to you about what I said about having your daughter fight her own battles. I apologize. Thank you. Yes, sir. What's that?
No.
You have something to say, say it.
No, we're good. Okay, long as you.
All right, so going forward, right now, we're gonna move up item 5.1 to go now. So we'll hear from you. And then 5.2 and 5.3, we're gonna, put those at the end after 5.2, and that'll be an executive session. Well, we're just, putting 5.1, so we can get you out of here, because you got a long drive and the weather coming in. And then you have something to say about that.
Oh, no, just letting people know that citizen comments, we're not doing away with them, they're just being pushed down a little bit. So as you're following the order of the agenda, you'll see that the agenda's being adjusted just a little bit to make best use of our accountant's time and our money.
All right, thank you. I see you guys have a really long agenda today, so I'm gonna be quick. So in front of you, there should be a presentation and the audit report. We've been doing the audit for probably more than 10 years, but this is the first time to see the town hall this crowded, so. For the objective of the audit, you want to go ahead and start the slides. The objective of the audit, we conducted the audit in accordance with the government auditing standards. And that's gonna be on the next slide. So as part of the standard, we will plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance whether the financial statements in front of you are free of material misstatements. And this is a full scope audit. So an overview of the audit result. It is an unmodified audit opinion, which is a clean opinion in our audit board. And in the back, there's another report that's called Internal Controls of Financial Reporting. And this report will disclose no findings of non-compliance or internal control deficiencies. So, as part of financial statement, the financial statement has 4 main parts. Government-wide financial statements is started on pages 7 to 8 of the report. And then after that, there's a governmental fund financial statement, pages 9 to 12. And then following by the footnotes to the financial statement, which has the details of the line items in the financials. Those are pages 13 to 18. And then the required supplementary information, which is your budget to actual comparison. That's on page 19. That's the whole financial statements. So as part of the financial highlights, on government-wide financial statements on pages 7 to 8. So overall, the town's total asset exceeded liabilities by 4.2 million as of September 30, 2023. And that's compared to 4 million as of last year. So it's about 200,000 increase. Total unrestricted net position, which is part of that total position, is 2 million as of September 30, 2023. Also, roughly about 200,000 increase in 2022. So, breaking down by total revenues, expenditures, we have total revenues 880 compared compared to 770 from last year, it's about 100,000 increase. Total expenditures increased by the same ratios, about 130,000 increase. And that results in a change in net position of 180,000 compared to 200,000 increase from prior year. So it's pretty comparable from last year. Some more financial highlights. Your governmental funds, the general fund revenue increased by 100,000, and that's mainly due to the increase in property tax, where everyone's values increase, and interest income increase due to increase in interest rates. And then you have expenditures increased by 276,000, and that's about 66%, but that's mainly due to the increase in capital outlay and street maintenance. Overall, the ratio of unassigned general fund balance over the general fund expenditures is about 2.94. That's the equivalent of 34 months of operations. So that is a calculation that we usually do for general fund, where we're saying that if there's no more, in case there's no more income coming into the next year, with the rate of expenditures that you have, how long it's gonna last with even no revenues coming in. And that's about 35 months. So as far as findings and recommendations, we don't have any findings, but we do have one recommendation for the town when we receive the franchise fees from all these franchise companies. We just do a quick calculation of how they come up with the fees to make sure that we in agreement with whatever check that they send us. It's very unlikely that they send us the wrong amount, but it's just an extra calculation to make sure. And as part of the presentation, I'd like to thank you, Leon, Carl is not here today, and Braust, I think he's here either. They're all very responsive and very helpful for the audits. So, we've been the auditor for a long time, so you have our contact info. If you need anything, you're welcome to call or to email us.
What is, what we just heard?
Council, do we have any questions?
Yeah, so I've got a question. So you're saying 276,977 is that the general fund expenses increased, but I show a discrepancy according to your paperwork on page 8 of the book for 275,073, which is a 1904 deficit. Where's the 1900?
Can you tell me the number again?
So on page 8, you show a general government balance of 275,073. When you're saying over here that the general fund's expenses are 276,977.
So what you're looking at is the government-wide financial statement, and so let me back up a little bit.
Yes.
So, yes, so the reason why you have two sets of financials, the government-wide financial statement from 7/8 to 8, and the governmental fund financial statement from 9 to 12 is because they are presented into two different bases. Government-wide financial statement is presented in full accrual basis that includes all the capital assets, long-term debt, which you don't have anything, and governmental fund financial basis is presented on the fund financial statement basis, which doesn't have capital asset, doesn't have any long-term assets. And as a result, there is a reconciliation from the government-wide to governmental funds, which is part of the, I think it's page 10 and 12, I believe. Explaining the difference. But the point I'm making is the 276 is coming from the governmental fund financial statements. So the two numbers are not comparable.
Where would I find the comparable amount then? In the book.
So your question was on the
Page 8, you have a 275,073 balance.
and you
General fund expenses.
You're comparing with the increase in general fund expense, right? So,
Maybe he can show you, come over here.
Yeah.
okay, I think you're basing off this number.
Right, so you got this number.
That's
Okay,
the
and this is,
increase
you said for September 2023,
compared to last year.
right, and this is September 2023.
No, so this is an increase compared to last year's expenditures.
Mhm.
This is the expenditures that in the current year.
Okay, so we increased 1904.
No, so the total expenditures is 276 more than last year's expenditures. So let's say last year's expenditure is 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
This year is 1.2.
Right, so you're saying we had 276,000 left?
More than
More,
than
okay.
last year.
Okay.
And it doesn't show last year here, so I guess you
Okay,
can see
you're
that
right.
number. So that 276 is not showing up anywhere in the report.
Understood.
I have a question. It really more of kind of a discussion. So the increases you attributed to the property tax and interest income, which is about 90% of it. Property tax is about half, and I doubt that you know, but maybe Leanne might know how much of that would have been new properties, because we didn't really increase the rate that much to cause that. It probably was new properties that were established in 2023.
Possibly,
Yeah.
I couldn't say.
I know, just saying, just for the audience's sake, I'm kind of just making a public
Yeah.
service. I mean, it certainly,
They'll increase the values too a bit, so that's gonna make a difference.
correct, that we usually adopt close to the effective rate, so we're not purposely increasing the rate. And I just want to point out that new properties will add to that quite a bit, because there was 0 last year, and then they get taxed this year, so that's usually how a lot of that goes down. The 10,000 other, is that because of fees? Because that's a 10% of the increase there. It's just other fees for other items. On page 5.
So was that more of a statement or a question?
I'm asking.
Okay.
Sorry.
How much, what is that comprised of, the other? Because that was a $10,000 increase, and that's 10% of the increase from last year.
There was, if I remember correctly, I think there was a special permit or,
That's what I expect.
the-
Not to lead the witness, but I seem to remember we had a decent number of special permits going on.
I couldn't
There was
remember
also-
exactly.
There was also, income that came in, I think, because of income received from, property that TxDOT was taking out here, if I remember.
Yeah.
I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't remember exactly.
And the other notable thing, I may have missed it, but 3 years worth of reserves is what I think I saw, close to 3 years, just 1 month shy of 3 years.
35 months,
Yeah,
yes.
and then the final is that regardless of what's in the PowerPoint, this is the report. This is what we should really be looking at.
Correct.
Yeah.
Everything else was correct.
Any other questions? David?
So, Tom, you made a recommendation on the franchise fees. I know every year y'all have a recommendation for us, for something to improve on and, or something that you see to be improved. So, we did go through and pull what franchise agreements that we had. Some of those are so very, very, very old. We also have a drawer full of contracts that we're still working through. We pulled everything that we can find, but as you know, we've already emailed out everybody we know to see if we can confirm what we have is the latest and greatest on the franchise contracts. Do you have any other thoughts on that at this point, except just to continue to go that road to
Yeah.
identify those?
And then identify the latest contract, and then, whenever they send you a check, make sure they have supporting documents with the check, so that you'll be able to come up with the same number of amount that you're supposed to get.
Because I know Lucky Town hasn't, I guess, practiced that in the past, but it's good to know that's what we can do going forward.
I did have one more question. Are you done? Or sorry.
No, I can ask it after you're done. Go
Okay,
ahead.
well, and it may be related, it's in the same vein. Other than the franchise, what other things can we do to streamline so that we can have not so much time spent on the auditor, make your job easier when you come in and look at books?
IT is something that we always, recommend, because as the town growing, there's a lot of risk that you involved in IT. So I see it in one of the council items is
Right.
discussing IT policy, so which is good.
What specifically in IT are you looking to streamline?
Cybersecurity, make sure that nobody's able to hack in, data backup policies where in case something happened, you have a backup.
These are requirements that would be put forth by the county? These are constituents?
No, it's not required by the county. That's why we didn't put any recommendations on that. But
Understood.
It's something that would be good to have, with the current environment.
Yeah, certainly appreciate that, but I don't think that's what drove the time, because that's not what drove the amount of time it took to finish the audit, did it?
No.
No. Are there any other besides franchise
Is there another
contracts?
contributing factor towards that?
To the audit,
Yeah.
Carl was pretty, during busy season, so
Yeah.
it's pretty busy most of the time.
Okay, so maybe he was the gating factor, because being able to access his time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And something everybody needs to know, finding an auditor
Yeah.
is
Tough to
not
know.
an auditor, I mean a CPA
Yeah.
that has this type of experience is very difficult. We were very lucky to find the one that we have. He was willing, because no one would take us on, and we were very lucky to find somebody. It took a while, and he said he could squeeze it in this very busy schedule.
Okay.
Also, so you were talking about how to improve. Robert, one thing that we're doing is we're going through electronically, we're trying to streamline by our accounting program that we use by electronically attaching things there so that hopefully that we can have them just log in and go get what they need and without us having to compile things and download it. We tested it this year and I think we're there for next year, so hopefully that'll work.
Thanks.
All right, I wanted to confirm one thing real quick, and that is that, we're going through a process of getting all of our records up to date, filed and all, and just want to confirm back on slide 4 that we are doing everything required to be reported under the government auditing standards.
Yes.
We are there. Thank you.
Council, any other questions?
No, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom, appreciate it. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tell Mike, thank you too.
Yeah, I think we have to, just the presentation.
All right, now we're gonna open up,
She does, huh?
and we're gonna open up item number 2, citizen comments. If you have a comment, please come step forward here, so that way everybody can hear you. State your name and address, and then go ahead and do with your comments. Our first comment is from, Nick Bradberry, is that correct?
He just stepped to the restroom.
All right.
That time. Number 2.
Man. Number 2, Steve Reed.
And then also, we can ask for the side comments to cease, because we are recording, it gets hard to pick up and it gets hard to hear what's going on, so go and cease the side comments, let the speaker have their 3 minutes.
Mr. Reed.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just pulling up my notes here. Oh, you want me to walk up here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, everybody can see and hear you.
So, I have 3 minutes. Can somebody want to have 15 seconds?
It'll ding.
First of all, I was surprised
Just
to see
state your name and
so many.
address, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Steve Reed. My wife is Darlene Schaefer. We've been here for about 8 years on Lakeview Drive, 1465 Lakeview Drive. And I was going to say that I'm surprised to see so many Lakeview people here tonight. I feel like it's a family reunion at Tim's house, like we had a few summers ago, for Diane's party 2019, I think, before COVID. Anyway, The only thing I really wanted to say was that because of where our property is, which, you know, Tim and Mary are due north of the, or due east of the property in question. And if you go 45 degrees from that, we are that direction, just on the other side of, kind of in between the Bradberries and St. Gibson's old place. So that river, basically, it's just most of the year a creek, runs through my property and Jason and Bree, and it fills up every rainstorm, runs through that culvert into Levon. Every time that we get a big rainstorm, I'm standing at my patio door, looking out there, sometimes at midnight, wondering how high it's gonna go and how long it's gonna be before it comes up to my property. It's only happened one time so far, that it has almost come up to my garage, a separate building garage. But at least twice a year, it comes really close. It turns into a 40-foot river that comes through my property before it runs down in there. Sometimes because of our, not to bash him, but our neighbor that built the house in between me and Nicholas, that construction caused a brand new river to run from another direction through my property. Never said a word to him. That's not the issue here tonight. So my concern is that, not that somebody's building a church or anything like that, it's just as long as it's built properly, if it's possible to build it properly so that it doesn't flood me out. I care about everybody in here, but I care about me most. That's what I'm interested in, is that thing gets built right so that it doesn't affect me, Tim, Nicholas, you know, Jason. I mean, we share a pond with Jason, and he was telling me right before this that it already floods over. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Bradberry, did you come back in?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, I know we're all here.
You can come up here, take
Yeah.
the name and address.
Just gonna say something real quick. I'm gonna be real frank. I may be the bad cop in this whole situation.
Name, address, phone number.
But like Steve, Darlene, down from me,
What address? Sorry.
1473 Lakeview. It's called Lakeview because there used to be a view of the lake, right? And I don't wanna see that again. I don't want a lake out front of my house. I haven't been able to walk to my barn in the back. I have an acre and a half. I haven't been able to walk out there in, Leslie, how long? 3, 4 weeks?
Yeah, well,
That's what the normal rain we get. And another aspect is, listen, not to mention the 100-year floods that come through here. I build communities for a living. David Weekly, Pulte, all the names you know, I build for them. That's what I do for a living. This place was not set up with drainage to facilitate 3 acres of concrete shedding off onto all of us. You know who's gonna deal with it? We are. Now, if you build it right, I'm not against any denomination, church, hey, we all praise somebody, right? I don't care who it is, but look, our community is not set up for that. And I don't know if we're elected or if we're paid or what it is, but if this goes through, vote for me, and we ain't dealing with nothing like this ever again. I'm gonna tell you that. And if you wanna build it right. I'm not saying there's not a right way to do it, but I do construction for a living. And listen to me when I tell you, you gotta have a dam that can withstand a 100-year flood. That's Collin County laws, rules. And look, it's expensive, okay? And if you're gonna let somebody just turn their house into a church, Tim, Steve, Darlene, Jason, hey, well, none of us will pay any taxes. We'll just all start a church. We'll all fill you with SUP permits. And every one of us fill out an SUP permit. We'll turn it into a church, we'll pay no taxes. That'll be what it is. But we're gonna let somebody come in and build a church, tram people. I mean, I'm not against anybody, but listen, the community was not built to withstand that. If you do your numbers and you look at the drainage, you're gonna see that. There's nothing worth losing the best people you've got, and that's us, right? And if we let it go through, I'm gonna be sitting on that seat next year, I promise you that. And I don't have a Lamborghini, but I can pay an attorney and we'll fight whatever y'all want to do. That's just me being me. All right?
Thank you.
All right, next up is Jeff Braust.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm Jeff Braust. We live at 1602 Parker Road, right next door to the subject property, okay? If you don't mind, I'm just gonna read you some prepared notes I had. We moved here 29 years ago, okay? And now our way of life is being threatened by allowing the building of a commercial enterprise literally right next door. It may be called a church, but with all the parking, lighting, and size of the structure, it is still a commercial structure that quite frankly has no business being allowed to wedge and squeeze between long-established residential homes. If we wanted to live next door to a church, we would have bought a property next door to one. Now we're faced with the possibility of looking out our front windows and gazing upon a large concrete parking lot and all the comings and goings of people at all times. They might claim that they will meet only twice a week as a congregation, but there will be people buzzing in and out of there every day. We have, based on where we live, we've got more skin in this game than anybody else. We share a contiguous border, approximately 850 plus feet. Now, if this is allowed to happen, if this is allowed to move forward, even with an 8-foot masonry wall, from front to back, who compensates us for the loss of our property value? It's bad enough that Parker Road is turned into a highway. And if this is allowed to go through, we'll now have the prospect of living next door to a commercial facility. That's my take.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, next up is Leah Swaner.
Stand over here. Leah Swaner, 2525 Levon Parkway. Is a little off topic. I just had a quick question. As advised by the council on the last city council meeting, we have continued the citizen ordinance review. We've been working on a few different ordinances, just kind of tweaking them, trying to make them more up to date and easier to understand and read and follow. And we have one in particular that we feel is ready to review. It was tabled at the last council meeting because we were told, I guess, we reached out to some council members, it was on the agenda, and then we tabled it because it was supposed to go to P&Z. We have a P&Z member that we've spoken with. It was not, it never got to the P&Z. And we did send out a ordinance review feedback form, but then it was communicated as a response that it will still have to initially go through the council, then go to the P&Z. So my question is just, how do we get it there? That's all we want to know as a committee so that we can start
Send it in
helping.
the ordinance feedback review like we asked you
Oh,
to do.
well, we did. So that's what we did send it, so I'm trying to figure out how to get it there then.
Okay, if you
'Cause
send it there,
we
then
sent
it
it
will
bef-
get to P and Z.
Okay, is there a timing on that, or is it just
Not yet.
whenever?
We've got these SUPs right now that are consuming, obviously, all the
Okay.
attention, so.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Next one is Cathy
Mulbauer?
Mulbauer. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Yes, my name is Cathy Mulbauer. I live at 1498 Lakeview Drive. And I'm really kind of confused why we're having another meeting about this, because we had a meeting before and many people spoke against it, and now we're having another one, so I don't know why, if y'all didn't hear us properly.
This is a different board.
Okay, well, we had
This is the
one before.
first time we're seeing it officially.
Okay, so, but we had one before and many people were against it. And I'm still against it, I don't want it in my neighborhood. They also mentioned about not just a church, but also a school. They mentioned something about a team project thing. I don't want all that in my neighborhood. I don't care about that. I mean, take it somewhere else and do it somewhere else, but not in my neighborhood. And so I didn't move here, we've been here 27 years. I didn't move here just to have a church in my backyard. So that's my take on it. I don't want it.
Yeah, we may want to be clear,
You understand
we may
that?
want to be clear, this is the council of St. Paul. We are elected, we are not paid.
Right, I know that.
And so we're elected for 2-year terms and it staggers.
I know that.
So what you probably saw before was the P and Z, which is the Planning and Zoning Committee, and it has to go through them
Maybe.
first. It's by state law, it has to go through them, so we can't circumvent that step.
Okay,
So that's
so
why
that's why we're having another.
That's why we have to have another meeting per state law.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Terry
Merworth.
Merworth.
Merworth. Okay. Terry Merworth, 1430 Lakeview Drive. Let's see, from our house, we look straight out at the property in question. My biggest one of my biggest concerns, my main thing is, okay, the church, I don't know what to call it right now, the house facing Parker Road. People pulling out, if anybody wants to go back into town, it's hard to make a left turn onto Parker Road. We all know that. I almost got killed the other day. People are gonna be turning right. Lakeview Drive is the first and only street you can turn right onto. There is no other right turn unless you come down here to City Hall and do roundabout. So I see increased traffic on Lakeview Drive, period. There's no question about it, it's gonna happen. So that's a huge for me, because I don't know if anybody's been out in their yard when there's a wreck on Park and they come down our street. I have a video and I was so shocked. I was like, what is going on here? And then I heard sirens and I went, oh, but it's, we got kids, we got animals, we got dogs, people ride their horses sometimes. And I don't want a freeway on Lakewood Drive. That's my main concern. I know there's plenty of other issues. I am against, I'm like the other gentleman said, I'm not against any denomination. That's not it. This is and I know there are also churches in our neighborhood. They've been there a while.
We could all have a church eventually, right? Pay
Well,
the
I know,
taxes.
because I would love to not pay
Why don't we all-
property tax.
why don't we all start
Hold
that?
on, yeah, those are fine.
Yeah. Anyway,
But it's fine.
that's my biggie.
You got anything else?
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, next is Carol Louie.
I'm Carol Bowie. I live at 1429 Lakeview Drive, and I have several comments. One, I came to the October 3rd meeting, I believe it was. The first part of the meeting, we were told, quote unquote, that the pastor would not be in the house. I remember Tim and the gentleman going back and forth 5 or 6 times. Council finally telling Tim, we understand you've said it 5 times. First, the lady says, well, we're not gonna live in the house. We're gonna have the barn building is gonna be for offices. The second part of the meeting, 30 minutes later, we're told, well, we have relatives that live out of town. So when they come in town, they need a place to stay. So we're gonna put them in that building. And then, after Tim and, I don't remember your name, but anyway, Mr. Spencer? Speller. Anyway, after 4 or 5 times being told they weren't gonna be in it, 30 minutes later, the same night, he's like, well, every church has a pastor and they give them a parsonage and we're gonna live in that. And I'm like going, 30 minutes apart, you tell a different story. The same meeting. So what's the deal? Why do you say one thing 1 minute, 30 minutes later you tell us a different story? Which is it? We're told that first meeting, well, there's gonna be about 100 to 125 people come to church there. So we don't need more septic, because quote unquote, that's all we're gonna have. Well, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we came, now, we're gonna have 500 people. The first meeting, didn't know what the building was gonna look like, how they were gonna do it. The second meeting, then all of a sudden, now we're gonna have a 2-story metal building, 15,000 square feet. The first meeting, we're gonna set up a food pantry, we're gonna have clothing, we're gonna do all these children things. And then the second meeting, no, we're not gonna do no food pantry, we're gonna have it inside the church. So people can come in and get what they need when they need it. No school, so it's like, we're getting different stories. We're told one thing and 30 minutes later, something else. Why are we not getting the same story every time? Why is it changing within minutes? Plus the traffic. We're gonna get traffic. So, I'm against it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Next is next person's Alexandra H.
Alexandra Ho, 56 and 58 Lakeview Drive. I'm obviously concerned about the traffic. It's a very quiet road. People walk their dog all the time. If we have the increased traffic, because you can't make a left onto Parker anymore with the 2 lanes going through, they're gonna be coming right down that road, and it's gonna be, it's gonna impact our community. I'm also concerned about the ecological as well as physical damage to our road and the property due to the water runoff with a large concrete or parking lot. We're gonna have a huge change in the permeable versus impermeable of that land, of that track. Currently, the flooding comes right down, and we're at our driveway is at the lowest point, right near Steve's house, and we've just, even with the culverts put in, it's still bypassing the culverts and going straight on to the Army Corps of Engineering land. I would recommend that they're contacted so that we can take samples if construction does occur to make sure that there's no contaminants or chemical runoffs from the installation of the parking lot. If there is one put in, that's going to affect either the ecosystem or the water quality being fed back in. So those are my 3 main things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where did you say property was compared to this one?
I'm on the circle, but I'm at the lowest point, so so I can't see the property. But any of the water that runs off of it, if it's not properly taken care of with that's another thing. I don't know about storm waste management, what Texas has in storm for that. The water comes straight down and it goes right by our property.
Okay.
So did I notate this right? It's 1456 and 1458.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's the difference in the corner. So you go straight in the road, that's the house that you're looking at.
Next up is Mary Reynolds.
Yes.
My name is Mary Reynolds, and I live at 1441 Lakeview Drive. And I have lived there for 17 years. And our home is right in the backyard of the house, the residential area. That will be affected over since 2008 up until 2023. 3 times we've had to dig out our pond because of the erosion of the, how would you, of the ground that is coming through from our neighbor's yard, because there's a big slope and all of that is coming into our pond, it breaks down, and, we have spent close to $20,000 just getting our pond dug out. Since then, there has only been 2 people and 2 or 3 horses that have lived up in that house area. And my husband that had passed away, Larry, in 2007, he had informed me that he had sued the couple because their sewage drainage was going into our property, and it was causing erosions to our horse stalls and to our ground. Just to let you know that. Every time it rains, we get more and more erosion over our property now, which is being washed away. I can only imagine what's gonna happen when, if you guys approve and allow concrete coming in and a building and all of this, the erosion that will take place on our property. And it's not just us, it's Jason's, it's Carol's, it's Darlene and Steve's and Nick, everyone is going to be affected by it in some way. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time, I will be filing a lawsuit. I'm not messing around. This is our home. Also, I want you to know that I have already spoken to our lawyer, and we have rights to protect our land in the state of Texas, and I plan to take action, legal action, because and I have nothing against a church, but that area is not meant for a church to come in and to pour all this concrete and to be allowed, and you know, I mean, I just want to say that I'm a Christian, and if you truly are a believer, I would hope and pray that you guys would look at that a little bit differently, and look at the property, how it's going to affect not just us, but our neighbors. We've lived there, we pay our taxes, we take care of our place, and it's just very frustrating, you know, when it's so-called this place that can do that. It's just, it really has an effect on us. So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Ellis, yeah, it's Ellis Merworth.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, council members, fellow citizens, and visitors, thank you. Ellis Merworth, I live at 1430 Lakeview Drive. Ladies and gentlemen, this endeavor in this little town of, what, 1.5 square miles? This 9.2 something acres development of this piece of property is the equivalent to putting a small subdivision in this town. Where are the environmental impact studies? Where's the engineering drawings of this plot plan, of this development of this 9 acres? Where's all this being produced? We haven't seen any of that, or it hasn't been talked about much, or if at all. You know, they don't just go out in the country and buy 9 acres and start bulldozing and putting streets in and parking lots and this and that and the other. They don't do that. They have engineering drawings done and environmental impact studies of the water runoff, and has anybody considered what the Texas DOT is gonna do when they start developing Parker Road? Where's that water gonna go? Where is all the water from this piece of land gonna go if they start developing it with whose specifications are they gonna develop under? their own, I'm gonna see a plot plan, an engineered development plan with a stamp on it from a registered engineer in this state. To accommodate all this water runoff and, you know, looks to me like a retention pond with, you know, some pumping action. Where's the excess water gotta go? And
You're good.
I don't see my
Go
point.
ahead, no, you're fine, go ahead, sir.
Another impact study would be, neighborhood property values. Has anybody thought about that? Are there gonna be a positive effect on our neighborhood, financial impact on our property values, or is it gonna hit us in the pocketbook? You know, some property's worth, you know, whatever they are, if they take a $250,000 hit because there's a development going there, whether you call it a church or a food pantry or a child care center or whatever you're gonna call it, it's more or less a subdivision, a 9-acre subdivision going right here in the middle of our town. Who's thought about all that? And, the traffic impact, who's thought about, like what Ms. Merworth here said, the traffic impact to our neighborhood? Because if there's 500 people, that means more or less be 300 or 400 cars trying to get out of that parking lot over there. And a lot of them are gonna be wanting to turn left to go into Wiley. They're not gonna be able to do that because of traffic. So they're gonna turn right on Parker Road. They're gonna come down about 200 feet. They're gonna take another right on Lakeview Drive. And it's gonna be a constant, like, row after, you know, wall to wall cars.
That's a good point.
And we got kids riding bicycles, we got kids walking dogs, we got parents trying to ride their own bicycles and parents trying to walk up and down the park. I mean, it's constant, on a daily basis, morning till night, we got pedestrian traffic on our street of some nature. But I would urge the council, before they make any decision on this, to consider a full engineering study done on that development of that subdivision and get all these impacts considered. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next is, Mitch. Is this Mulbauer? Yeah.
You filled it out, Mitch. You wanna speak? Come on back.
I guess so. Mitch Mulbauer, 1498 Lakeview Drive. I agree with what everybody here has said. I just really don't understand how come it's got this far from what it was from the last time we were here. I know it's a different group of people and all, but I really don't want this to happen. I mean, it's a great little neighborhood, and the cars, like everybody has said, when there's a wreck, there's so many cars go through that street. We had our mailbox knocked over because somebody bumped it somehow, and we have 3 mailboxes, and it just fell over. So not a major deal, but it's an inconvenience, and who knows what else could happen. But anyway, that's basically all I want to say. I just agree wholeheartedly that I don't want it to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, next is Tony Wilder.
Excuse me.
That was your moment.
My name's Tony Wilder. I live 1497 Lakeview Drive. That's straight north from their property. Everything that they're doing, I can see. We've lived there, my wife and I, for 30 years. It's been our home. We love it. We don't want to leave it. Don't put us in a position to where we have to think about that, because we don't want to. This is our home. We were here when a lot of you council members weren't. And y'all should consider that for the folks that have been here for a long time. It's our place where we're retiring, it's a place we'll probably die, but it's our home. And we don't want, it's been quiet, we've had it's a good place to live, it's always been a good place to live. There's been no trouble from anywhere that I know of, and it's just a good, clean place to live. And we've enjoyed it, we wanna continue to do that. We don't need a bunch of, I don't know what all goes on at these type places, I don't know. Concerts, I'm not sure. A lot of people, yeah, I'm sure. A lot of traffic, yeah, I'm sure. But, we don't really need that in St. Paul. And it should be considered very carefully, because I'll join that with you. I'll put money towards that.
I will too.
Amen.
Thank you.
You put on your, on the brief here.
Yeah, I did.
Fire being involved.
I did.
What was your question about that?
The question about that is, first of all, has Collin County been brought into the round table of this? Has the fire department been questioned as to what they would need to accommodate a building of that sort?
Amen.
With that many people?
Yeah, well.
Yes.
What,
As
you
far
know,
as the plan-
there's a lot more money involved here than just what they're talking about.
Logistics.
Yes, no, I agree with you. Yes, fire is part of the permit application plan. And
Well, is it from a fire department though? I mean, people that really know the
Collin
business?
County Fire
it'd be the
Marshal.
Collin County Fire Department. They would review the plan.
Has Collin County been brought into this?
Not yet.
There you go, but.
They haven't got to that process.
I understand.
To that point.
There is no.
Well, they have people up there that should be involved.
They will.
Can we keep the side conversations down, please?
Real quick, to speak to that, one, misspoke as far as Collin County Fire Department. It's the Collin County, Fire Marshal. It would be
Fire marshal,
involved.
yes.
We're protected with, we've got a contract with, the Wiley Fire Department, and the
Yeah.
Wiley Fire Department absolutely has the ability to handle
I
any
think
type
so
of fire
too.
in
I
that
think so.
case.
They're top quality
So,
fire departments.
Yeah,
They really
so
are.
all of those, everyone would be contacted on that.
Uh-huh.
I do have a quick question for you. I'm looking at this, drawing,
Yeah.
and are you the first or second house?
Second.
You're the second house, so you'll
Yeah.
be looking
Alton Florida
right
up there
now.
on the top of the hill. I'm one
You
below
get it
them.
all.
You're lot 3?
Sir?
Lot 3?
Yeah, it'd be lot 3 on our,
Three and
book
four.
here. Just what?
Maybe.
Hey, we'll look here. Just confirm that for me. You got a fifth
That
bill in
looks
your
right.
yard?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's the third one. Yeah, so
Third house on the right from the corner?
it'd be the third lot. It's the second house
Second
on the right. Yeah, you got the fifth wheel there. Yeah, okay.
I think you're right, sir.
Okay, yeah, that will definitely,
That's right behind them.
yeah, right there.
I mean, they throw a ball over the 8-foot fence and somebody's gonna try to come get it, they can get in trouble. Is there any other questions?
No, I just wanted to bring that up.
All right,
since
sir.
you wrote it down.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Tom.
Next is Tim Wyatt.
Well, my name is Tim Wyatt. I live at 1441 Lakeview. And we are here tonight to ask you to deny this SUV. This disastrous project that they're trying to push in on us is going to impact us directly because we are directly below them. And if you was to come out, and I do want to invite each and every one of you council members to please, before you condemn our property to a flood zone, and destroy our property or allow our property to be destroyed from this flood, please come out, give us a call, so I'll make sure I'm there. You're more than welcome, you're even asked to come out before you do this and see what this situation is. I know you're looking at papers, I know you're looking at maps and you're doing all this, but until you come out and see what is going on, then, you know, you really don't have an idea. This property behind the house is shaped like a freaking bowl, okay? The bottom of the bowl is at our corner of the horse barn. There is a pipe that had to be put in from there under the horse pens or the lots, all the way under the drive out into front of the house. I've got videos, some of you have seen it, for just an inch rain, okay? It floods drastically and it has eroded to the point all the dirt we take out of the pond, we have to pull back up the hill and put back on the erosion, and then it does it again, okay? And so I would strongly invite you to come out and see what we are going to be dealing with. There is a terrace that we had put in along part of it, and we have to have it rebuilt because it comes down so much that it overflows the terrace and it goes around. We've installed a drainage pipe on one side trying to divert their water right now. Now you know, you're talking about 9 acres, you're gonna cover half of that with concrete and buildings. Where is that water gonna go? It's got to go downhill, okay? It has no choice. And so this whole freaking disaster is looking, you know, for a place to happen. And if y'all allow this, that's where it's gonna happen. Yes, there will be a class action lawsuit. I'm telling you right now, we will drag this out for years and years and years. This will not be built in the next few years. Our attorney assures us that it will be drawn out. And there are cases in this country where these permits have been denied. Cleveland, Ohio denied it. And they took them to, they appealed it, and it was upheld several times. So this is not a done deal. Just because it is a church requesting this, and keep in mind, this is not a church requesting this. This is an individual requesting this. The Spellers own that land. The church does not own it, okay? So this is an individual that's owning it, that is trying to operate a commercial operation on this property, okay? And so therefore, you know, we're not talking about a church, an individual. We're talking about an individual doing this, okay? That is not, that's, you know, they're trying to make it into something it is not. And so, you know, to me, if you do allow this, there needs to be 100-year floodplain retention pond built on the back of their property to hold the most drastic possibility of a flood that you can imagine in 100 years.
Yep.
And then when it's full, where's that water going? It's going to flood our house. So it's gonna have to be plumbed.
His house and his house.
Hold on,
Yeah.
let him speak, okay?
It's gonna have to be plumbed with an overflow from there down to the natural creek. We understand that. There's gonna have to be damages to pay to wherever that pipe is gonna have to be put. But it's gonna have to go underground, or it's gonna cause a tremendous amount of other erosion. And so there's way, way too many questions right now for, you know, and too many people. It's not just affecting us, it's affecting everybody in this community. And these are the people that basically, to be honest, y'all work for, okay, that elected y'all. But besides that, these are your neighbors, these are your friends, and Miss Belly, I think by now you can figure out you're not wanted here. Your operation is not welcomed here, and I'm sorry, but
Mr. Baskin, Mr. Baskin, let's keep it.
Wyatt,
Yeah,
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me, I apologize.
No problem.
They're not welcomed. The operation is not perfect for this area. They're, you know, we love churches. They need to put a church where it doesn't affect other people.
Yeah.
To this level. And I think you can understand tonight by what you've heard and the people that have spoken here, that this is not a good location for this church. You know, the church is a good thing. I have no problem with it, there being a church there, or being a church, but there is not a good location for 500 people and 4.5 acres of freaking concrete.
That's the deal.
That, you know, that water's gonna go somewhere, and it's gonna do irreparable harm to a lot of properties. And so the needs of many here, I think, way outweigh the needs of a single owner of the property.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
With you being the one that is
Directly.
most directly, physically involved impacted in this, has anyone from the applicant, has anyone contacted y'all to discuss or?
We've never seen them on property. If they have, they've never introduced themselves, came, you know, they've said all along that they want to be part of the community, they want to help the community and all of this, but yet they've owned it for 2 years. And we got out the other day and walked the neighborhood and talking to people, and nobody yet has ever met these people. They have not tried to become part of the community or the family. And we've got a wonderful, everybody, all the people that come and visit us, they said, man, y'all got the best neighborhood, y'all got the best neighbors we've ever seen. Said, this is phenomenal. And, you know, all of our friends just love it out here, and because of where we live. And so, but no, they have not once, young lady that manages it, she was walking the property line one day, and I had to walk over there and introduce myself and get her to come over and talk to me. But that's the only time. But no, they have never once tried to intermingle or interact with anyone that we talked to the other day.
Okay.
And everyone, and there's a lot of people we talked to that are not here tonight, to be honest with you, not one of them wanted this to go through, not one. And if there were, I'd be honest and I'd tell you that. But I'm telling you up front, not one person we talked to, period, anywhere on Lakeview Drive was in favor of this going through. Whether they were directly impacted or indirectly impacted. So, you know, this is not a good situation. It is not welcomed by the community. It's not welcomed by the people on Lakeview or anyone else that we were able to find. And if there were, I'd be honest and tell you, yeah, there was one person or two, but there wasn't one that wanted this to go through.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we have one more, and that is Tracy Baskin.
Hello, Tracy Baskin. I live at 1442 Lakeview Drive. The good news and the bad news is I'm a little bit uninformed about the church and the details. So if I look out, I can guarantee you I have no idea who owns the church, no idea what denomination anyone's from. And even so, I've been in corporate for 25 years, worked all over the world, and had the privilege of working with so many different religions. So I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care at all. But I live directly on the hill facing Mary and Tim, and so it's just up the hill from me. So what I have noticed after living there, I was pregnant when we moved in, and my son's 17. So we've been there a minute, but any noise that comes down that hill just ricochets up off of her water and just into our home. So it's super loud. I mean, we hear dogs and we hear cars, but to add the element of 500 people in the church, that is going to, I do believe that's gonna affect our property value. I don't even know when we could show our house if we were gonna sell it, when there wouldn't be that kind of noise level. But that's not why I had the courage to stand up completely unprepared. I had the courage to stand up because my son's a teenager, and Tim welcomed you all to his home. I welcome you to ride with my kid. Him trying to dart onto Lakeview Drive, holy moly. It's hard for my husband and I. My husband's a fireman. He's a captain in Garland, and he drives these big fire trucks. Just us trying to teach him how to get onto Lakeview Drive is terrifying. And to think that there's gonna be that much more traffic, I can't even fathom that. So I only have the courage to stand up for his sake. So literally, anybody who wants to come ride with that kid, bring it, because I'm telling you, you are more than welcome to take the chance. But he really does, in all honesty, he struggles to get on the road in any more traffic. I know there's other teams in here, I see a couple, like they're gonna be trying to pull out, is sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I don't care who you worship, whatever, I just don't want my kid like to have even more obstacles than he already is trying to get out. We've outrun our infrastructure, and this is even one step further. Is that mine?
No, just talk to us.
I'm sorry. I've been presenting for 25 years, and
This is your job. Your job is
prepared. Okay, fair. So, yeah, I'm just really concerned for him, but that is all I have. Thank you for letting me jump in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank your husband for his job. I appreciate
You know
our
what?
firemen and our police.
He would
And
do it.
actually, my uncle, was a retired fire captain out of
What's
fire
his name?
department. Bob Raver.
Okay, I'm sure he knows him. My husband was
He's
just for free.
been gone, or retired since Wyatt.
Oh, really?
I'd also like to speak to that real quick, Tracy, as far as, getting out onto Lakeview,
On the Parker, you mean?
Parker Road. Parker Road, I'm sorry, from Lakeview on to Parker Road. Hey, I gotta get out on Parker Road first.
We
Or
are.
on
Right.
Lakeview.
We are.
Anyway,
Right.
I'm sorry. You know where I'm at on 1420 Lakeview. Leanne has done a fantastic job working with the state, and as his entire Parker Street development comes out, continues and widening, she does have a red light going in there for us.
Oh, really?
Wait, we're aiming.
Yield sign, maybe a yield
No,
sign.
there's a median cut from what I understand there because of
Yeah, that's
the,
not going in there.
no, there's no light. You don't know what struggle we had to get a light here. But no, there's no light.
My apologies, I truly thought.
Hey, let's struggle harder then.
John's offering about that. The light himself and pay for it.
They're $160,000, I don't know.
Can we put one in?
I like them.
I apologize, I really thought that was in place.
We'll never pay for it if everybody starts a church.
Did anybody else turn in?
You wanna get flooded with SUP permits?
Right there. It's in video.
I didn't sign
He
it,
wants
but
to
may I
speak, he
speak?
did not fill anything out, he is on the downside of that
Jason.
property.
Yeah,
He's right in the water path.
I'm an interested party, I'll tell you that
Can
much.
you, oh,
He can have to fill out after.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm ignorant of the procedures.
We'll just have you fill
That's
out.
okay.
Okay. My name is Jason Svodka. I live at 1445 Lakeview Drive. That's lot 12. Looks like the state of Oklahoma.
I'm sorry, what address?
1445 Lakeview Drive. And I'm right next to Tim. I live next to Steve. We're all downhill. It's bad enough. The back side of my property is like a swamp as it is. I had to winch out my zero turn 2 weeks ago because I hit a mud pit and that was it.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's already bad enough. All right, I've seen erosion. I may not have a pond in 5-10 years because I've already seen just dirt cascade off because I have the drainage stream that goes to my property. Dirt cascades off. It's going to eventually just erode it away and the pond's going to collapse into it. So, I mean, it's already bad enough. And, I was at the P&Z meeting a few weeks ago and I didn't see anything that said they knew any idea what they were doing. Okay? There's no plans for anything. as far as, forget rain and flooding. You gotta put a septic system in this place. 500 people, that place could all the time. It's gonna be saturated 24/7, 365, okay? I mean, and there's no plan, you don't know, 500 people. Okay, to put this into context, across the street, it was approved last fall for a church, for an actual church organization, and they're not even putting in a building that big. And they have a chain of churches. So what is this building doing that needs to be that big? It doesn't make any sense. Something else is going on, okay? I'm just gonna say that. Okay, I moved out here 7 years ago, and I have a small family. It's quiet, it's low density, that's why we're here. That's why we wanna stay here, we wanna be here for a long time. And I'm a little younger than the average speaker here tonight, no offense.
Well, thank you.
It just doesn't belong. I'm sorry, it just does not belong. It's a specific use permit, but once you put a 15,000 square foot building on it, you put a parking lot on it, it's not residential anymore.
No.
It's a farce, okay? You've ruined 9 acres. You've ruined 9 acres, and it's not coming back. Okay, every lot that you sell and it turns into a church, it's gone. That one's gone, that one will be gone. St. Paul as it is will be gone. And this is an oasis. It's unique. It will be gone.
That's a fact.
It is. Amen.
I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. Yeah, nothing has shown me that this will be done on time, under budget, and mark my words, if it gets approved, 2 years from now, you'll be looking at an unfinished project, because the money's gonna dry up, and they're gonna be gone. Or it's not gonna be done right.
And we'll all start churches too.
Sorry.
Let them.
I did vent to my wife, I was like, I might as well just sell I might as well put mine up just for sale and sell it to the highest bidding church organization.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is gonna be that big of a loophole, St. Paul's gonna be marked. Hey, look at all this low density property, it's over here, buy a big lot, and you look around, it's ripe for the picking, unfortunately.
Yep. We need y'all to stand up for us, that's it.
All right, anybody else?
I'll say one thing. I build huge communities.
Hold on, sir, you've already had your time.
Well,
Okay, now,
I always want to say
hold
one
on.
thing.
If somebody on council wants to motion to allow you to speak again,
I'd like to hear what he's got to say.
I appreciate that.
we gotta do with that.
Yeah, that's fine. And I appreciate all you guys. And I'm not saying this is y'all, we want y'all to make the right decision here. But just know, what happens if all of us decide we're all starting churches? We're all starting churches. I'll build a shed out front, Tim will build a shed, Jason, Arlene, Steve. We'll all just build churches. And then I do $100 million neighborhoods that have crazy infrastructure and the drainage and the runoff, the contaminants. How you affect the wildlife. Where is anything that's been presented that affects that? I mean, we're talking about hummingbirds in our backyard. We're talking about we're gonna put a church in here and have 16 aerobic heads going off. We have a house that has 5 people in it. And it goes like this nonstop. And if my zero turn gets through there, if not, I'm gonna call Tim or somebody, but we're all neighbors. We have dogs walking. We have people here. We care about this. And look, I hope y'all care about it as much as I do, or else next year I'll be sitting right in there. Thank you, cousin.
Thank you. Real quick, there is some weather coming in, but I'm sorry.
May I speak one more?
Sorry.
Could I speak one?
We gotta go.
I know some people wanted to bail out, they're hearing some weather, but,
Please.
I'd
like to hear.
Okay. I would like to say one thing based on this, is that, again, if it was to go through, there has to be a civil engineer project for a retention pond for a 100-year flood.
Collin County Road.
And with that, and what I'm seeing, the pond is gonna be so large to hold that much water. There will not be enough room for 16 sprinkler heads back there. I'll nearly guarantee you that. There is not enough room for that type septic system and a retention pond the size that I think it's gonna take. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wyatt.
Okay, I'm gonna close citizen comment. Yes, sir.
One more. I'm still Ellis Merworth, 1430 Lakeview. I would strongly urge, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for calling me again. I would strongly, you've heard the comments from concerned citizenry of this town. This is not something that you guys just need to blow off and go ahead and make a decision. This is not something that you need to treat lightly. We pointed out to you guys and gals, excuse me, Madam Secretary, that there's no studies, no impact studies of any kind have been done for this project. Like I said before, this is equivalent to a small subdivision coming right in the middle of our town. Y'all don't know what the impact of anything is gonna be yet. No studies have been done. You haven't asked for any studies to be done. There's been no engineering studies, site development for that subdivision. That man right there will tell you the site development is critical on a project like this. If you just go in there and start dozing off and pour concrete, no telling, man, you're gonna flood.
It's logistically impossible.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to leave?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate everybody's coming on tonight and talking. If I mispronounce your name, I apologize. But what I'm gonna do now is make another, I'm gonna table 5.4 and bring it up to right now so we can get this going. And 5.4 is. I'm tabling it. Okay, so what I found out this week is if you table something, you're tabling it to that meeting. If you're postponing it, it goes to another meeting.
Postpone.
So, no, I don't think you want to.
No, we're not postponing it. What we're doing is we're moving.
What I'm gonna do is move 5.4 up the agenda to right now. So, Mr. Sprague, can you come out and, Mr. Sprague is our chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. He's gonna present the recommendation of the church at 1702 Parker.
Okay, so we've had a couple of meetings with the Planning and Zoning Commission. On April, Town of St. Paul Planning and Zoning Commission met on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, at this town hall to review documents provided regarding to a special use permit.
Could you speak up a little bit? We can't hear you.
Better yet, he's gonna come right in front of you.
There you go. That's good.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
I was trying to be smart. Okay, so Town of St. Paul Planning and Zoning Commission met on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, at the St. Paul Town Hall to review documents provided in regard to a special use permit request to the Town of St. Paul, Texas, from the SUP church applicant, Dexter and Demosha and Angelina Speller, to build and operate a church at 1702 Parker Road, also known as Collin County Appraisal District Property, ID 212-0687, 9.268 acres, located at ABS A0178, Stephen Coos Survey, Tract 6, 9.268 acres. The property is located entirely in the town limits of the Town of St. Paul, Texas, and is zoned residential, which is R1.5. The zoning district permits a church with a specific use permit in place. Responses to questions that P&Z asked are as follows. First one was, please provide a drawing, a CAD drawing, showing exactly what areas you are suggesting would be residential and what areas would be covered under the special use permit. Their response was, the house will serve as the church administration building the church administration building, the church building, main parking, overflow parking, the big barn building, the small barn building, and the remaining land will be covered under the special use permit. Please see the attached Exhibit A site plan drawing, the CAD drawing, and I don't have a copy of it, but Leanne, do you have it?
Yeah, Gary. I don't think you need to read all through that.
Okay, what do you want me to read?
If you can just, cut to the chase and give us your recommendation.
On page 4-5.
So, I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, as important as this is, and many people are here, why wouldn't we go ahead and go through this for the record and make sure that we understand what was being said?
That's-
Okay.
That's fine too.
Would you let Gary go through it, because I have questions on my own.
Right.
So, we can let him get through his part, so that we can get to our part.
Okay, so it's important to understand that this is a conceptual drawing, so it may change. It's not a plat, just so you know.
Is a plat required for?
So it's worthless.
It would be.
For an SUP?
They're developing the property,
It's an idea.
the application that I gave you, can you read the first part of it?
You know, I know the answer. I was hoping that Gary could answer my question. So is a plat required for an SUP?
If they move forward, but first.
But for the SUP portion,
No.
approval is not,
No.
because it is not considered
Right.
that engineering in full.
Right, but to build anything, to get the permit, then.
And that's the permitting process, not the SUP
After.
process.
Yes.
Okay.
But.
Which right now, we're going through the SUP process.
That's correct. Okay, so let me see where you leave off. Okay, so number 2, confirm understanding that tech stack approval of all tie-ins and alignment will be required. And the response was, SUP applicant understands that tech stack must approve all tie-ins and alignments. And it's primarily in Parker Road.
And that's all they gave you? That was the response?
That's it. Okay, number 3, confirm that there is an understanding that the SUP property will be considered commercial property as long as the SUP is officially in place. If this SUP is revoked or expires, the property will return to being residential. R1.5. And the response was yes. SUP applicant understands that SUP property will be considered commercial property. Yes, the SUP applicant understands that if the SUP is revoked or expires, the property will return to being residential, or R1.5.
Question on that, if it's gonna be returned to being residential, what are they gonna do with the 15,000?
Can you let him just please, just get through his part?
Yeah, let's.
We got a lot of stuff to let him get through.
Okay.
Write your questions down, because some of it's gonna be addressed.
Good question.
Number 4, please provide a rendering drawing of all parts of the church, include any and all expansion parts. Make sure the drawings and applicant's plan includes a scale. That is, the drawing includes all measurements to scale, the number of levels, stories, square footage of all improvement structures, future and existing. Response, please see attached Exhibit A. Is that Exhibit A? There it is. Okay. Site plan, building 3D TSS designer drawing. There is no expansion plans for the building. The metal church building will be 15,000 square feet, 1 level or 1 story, and has seating capable for maximum 500 people. Number 5, confirm applicant has knowledge that the town of St. Paul, Texas ordinance stipulates an 8-foot masonry screening wall between all residential and commercial development. And their response was the house will serve as the church administration building, the church building, blah, blah, same thing as before. So essentially wasn't really answered, but we cover that later. Number 6, confirm an applicant has an obligation and approval from Collin County that there is proper drainage following the Collin County drainage design standards. Need to provide validation of this approval. Response, per the civil engineer, everything will meet the requirements of the Collin County drainage design standards. However, he cannot proceed until approval of the site plan is granted to finalize calculations accordingly. Number 7, please provide the drainage elevation and flow off the property applying for the church SUP permit. All modifications to this flow must be provided. Answer, response, per the civil engineer, He will calculate flow off the property once the site plan has been approved. Number 8, confirm that the applicant has the obligation to provide, and subject to approval, OSSF suitability review with OSSF certification. Make sure that whatever is going to be commercial has the proper septic. Response, SUP applicant confirms the applicant has the obligation to provide, and subject to approval, OSF suitability review with OSF certification. Please see attached Exhibit C, OSF suitability report, site evaluation, and preliminary OSF report. And I don't think, if you showed them that, you can see it, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Let me interrupt, just for quick, OSSF, it's linked to that, to the audit.
That's the septic
So they
system.
know.
That's the septic system.
Where's the
Okay.
concrete on the drawing?
What's that? Let him speak?
Yeah, let's let him finish.
But I just want everybody to know what OSSF was.
All right, number 9, confirm and provide the maximum number of members that would use the church SUP commercial area at any one time. Provide on the scale drawing parking spots required by the town of St. Paul, Texas ordinance to include any expansion of members, parking, buildings, etc. Response, maximum of 500 people would use the church area at any one time. There will be 167 church parking spaces to accommodate the 500 people or seats. There will be 14 overflow parking spaces for a total of 181 parking spaces. There will be no building expansion. Number 10, please provide the commercial lighting locations and lumens that will be required for commercial property. Response, please see attached Exhibit D, photometric site plan. And I realize it's hard to see, but. All right, number 11, confirm details around any property that will be leased along with the lessor and leasee, along with the duration of the lease. Response, the lessors are the Dexter and Demosha Angelina Speller. The leasee is the House of Faith Christian Center. The lease duration is 30 years. Number 12, confirm that the town of St. Paul, Texas, planning and zoning recommendations for approval is for concept purposes, and that the project must meet all planning and permitting requirements for the town of St. Paul. Response, SUP applicant understands the role of planning and zoning, and that the project must meet all planning and permitting requirements for the town of St. Paul, Texas. All right, and we had some follow-up questions. Town of St. Paul Planning and Zoning Commission asked additional questions. Number 1, when are your services held? Response, Sunday mornings and Tuesday evenings. Number 2, when do you plan to start building? Within 30 days upon approval of the SUP, finishing in 1.5 years from the start date. 3, what are the barns going to be used for? Response, gatherings. Will you be installing an 8-foot masonry wall? And then the response, basically we boiled down to, that will be all left up to the town of St. Paul Town Council to decide that matter. Number 5, the P&Z Commission recommends that the 4 overflow parking spaces be relocated due to the potential hazard in blocking entrance to the area off Parker Road, which is, let's see, well, anyway, they're too close to Parker Road for people to get in and out, get out of the parking spots. All right. Okay, so, and they basically said they would have those parking spaces adjusted. 6, you will need to have in place a septic maintenance agreement. Response, they already have that in place, they said. Your main building looks very plain. Will you be adding anything that adds to the aesthetics of its looks? We have, and their response was, we have plans to do so, just have not added them to the drawing at this time. Number 8, you mentioned that you have some food giveaways to those in need. You are not planning on competing with the North Texas Food Bank affiliate across Parker Road, are you? Response, no, this is very small and for members who have a specific need, not competing with Amazing Grace Food Pantry. All right, so with all those in place, we came up with a recommendation. The Town of St. Paul Planning and Zoning Commission, based on the answers to our questions and the willingness of the SUP applicants to make modifications, Dexter and Demosha Angelina Speller recommend that the Town of St. Paul, Texas Town Council provide their approval of the following conditions. Provide a written update to the Town of St. Paul, Texas Town Hall of the anticipated start date, final drawing provided, construction plans within 30 days to include the written approval from TxDOT for the turn lanes prior to the start of construction. Second, construction to start on or before the end of Q2 2025. Written confirmation to be provided to the Town of St. Paul, Texas Town Hall of the start date. Construction to be completed within 12 to 18 months from the start of the construction, with an option to extend 180 days. No signs are permitted on the property unless they follow the Town of St. Paul, Texas sign ordinance. Must follow commercial zoning and construction, internal construction codes. The Town of St. Paul, Texas engineer will need to review the final drawing. Currently it's conceptual. Design stage once they put in the plat application and or building application, and may have some requests at that time, additional requests. An area of potential concern, as example, is what space may be needed for a drainage pond, and if the drainage pond needs to reduce what may be needed for any other purpose that would affect minimum requirements. The SUP applicant will need to comply with these requests. Other items for the Town of St. Paul, Texas to consider, Town Council to consider. If construction for this project does not start by the end of Q2 2025, then the specific use permit should be revoked. The process would have to be started from the beginning for an SUP for this property. So the process would have to start all over again. These are just recommendations. The specific use permit should have a regular renewal fee. If the renewal is not completed, then the SUP is revoked. If the property is sold or transferred to another party, then the SUP is revoked. Any revocation of the SUP would transfer the property back to residential R1S5. I know that was long, but.
All right, council, I know we have a lot of questions, so we'll start with David and work our way down.
All right. Mr. Speller, Ms. Speller, thank you for being here.
Yes,
I'm very much pro-church, but I'm also here to represent homeowners. And we heard a lot of concerns tonight. Not one homeowner came forward in favor of this. So, gives me concern. I do have some direct questions, and they're not meant to be interrogating, but I've been involved with church work a long time, and some of these questions will help me understand and give me comfort or not comfort or saying yes. So if you could, just let me ask y'all some questions, that'll be okay. The original SUP application states that you intend to keep the house as residential, yet your answers to the P&Z from their October 23rd list of questions state that the entire property is going to be used for commercial purposes if the SUP is approved. Why the change?
May I approach?
Please.
So the change is, we decided that it would be best to use it as the church administration building. And thus, it's no longer, gonna be residential as previously mentioned in the first sub meeting.
All right. Will anyone ever live in that house? Okay. When you purchased the property, it appears like you took a loan with absolute mortgage and lending, is that correct?
That's private, and I'm not gonna answer that in front of all these people. If you want to ask me that in private, then I'll answer that.
Well, there's a reason that I'm asking.
I'm not gonna answer that, sir, in public. If that's private real estate information, and that's governed by law, I will not answer that publicly. I don't think that should be bought, who I got along with in here, was my real estate.
Okay, let me rephrase this. Is there a commercial loan on the property or is it a residential loan?
It is a residential loan.
Okay. Are there any loan covenants that will be in any way in violation for making this a commercial property?
No, sir. No, sir.
Is the mortgage company aware that it's being requested to be changed from residential to commercial?
I will approval, we'll make sure everything is properly noted in order.
Because my concern is a half project being built and not being able to be completed. I've seen it, so, you know, there's a concern there of how this project's gonna be finished. So I do have a concern over any kind of potential default or foreclosing or calling a loan if you're violating loan covenants. Do you ever plan to convey or gift the property of the church to anyone, or keep the property in your personal names and rent to the church indefinitely?
That would be
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
So there are no plans, no intentions to convey or?
No plans at this, no plans at this
Okay.
time.
Is there a formal lease in place by the applicant, which is you as individuals, to the church that we can review?
Yes, there is a list.
Just for clarification, because I know there were some things that were said that were not accurate tonight, who pays the property taxes on this property?
Right now it would be the, I mean,
Can I
the
answer that? I'll answer that. And I would like to correct that because, there were things that were being said, and I'm gonna say respectfully. Things were being said with false allegations that, you know, if the church is taken there, we won't pay taxes. And I wanna assure that that's absolutely not true.
That's why I wanted to clarify.
Because the taxes are being paid on the property, and no one's
So
trying
are
to.
ours. Hold on, let him speak, please.
No one's trying to do anything illegal. I just came here to ask for a special use permit to start and praise God. That's it. And trying to do it right. We pay the property taxes. If anybody wants to know, just go pull up the tax.
I see that, that's what I wanted to help
Yes, sir.
clarify.
They're on time.
Question 5 in P and Z's questions ask if you were aware of the 8-foot-high masonry screening fence that is required between residential and commercial development. Screening fence is to lessen noise, light, septic irrigation, spray, etc. That your development will create for the neighboring homeowners. Your response completely avoided answering the question. So I need to know if you're aware of this requirement and plan to construct a screening fence around the property.
We are aware of the requirement. We will do what the city of St. Paul, as long as we're meeting your ordinance. And I pulled up all the ordinances and read it accordingly.
Hey, Dryden, do you mind if I interject, since I don't wanna bounce back and forth? So since the ordinance does require an 8-foot masonry wall, you're acknowledging the 8-foot masonry wall, and there's no opposition?
All right, let me read what your ordinance says. And we will comply with the ordinance of the city of St. Paul. So I wanna read it for you.
I'm well aware of what it is, but you
Okay,
can
but
read it.
everyone here may not be, sir, if it's okay.
Please.
All right, so it says in Article 8, CR Commercial Retail District Regulations, Section 8-2, Building Regulations. I read as accordingly. It says where a commercial zone area or lot abuts a residential zone area, an 8-foot masonry wall is required as a visual barrier and buffer between such lots or areas. Let me actually go up even further where it mentions 8-foot masonry wall. It says, but this is done with collections. It says refuse collection area should be completely screened by use of an 8-foot masonry wall. The enclosure should be provided with solid architectural metal doors and metal frames. So that's addressing the trash as far as that piece of the masonry wall. But we are gonna abide by the ordinances of the city of St. Paul.
Cool. Thank you, Karen.
How many homeowners directly abut the property?
All right, so, as you see up there,
I'm just curious if you know.
yeah, so we have on north of us, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. South, east of us, we have 3, and then to our south, we have 1.
How many of those homeowners have you personally gone to visit to introduce yourself and explain what you're trying to do and hear their concerns.
As far as speaking to individuals, I speak consistently with Jeff, who's south of us. I've met Mr., I think it's Tim, is that correct? I met Mr. Tim initially to the east of us. And then as far as to the north, I haven't met anybody on the north.
Okay. 'Cause I mean, we've heard a lot of homeowner concerns tonight that in citizen comments that were not, some of that possibly could have been addressed already. P&Z is recommending that if construction doesn't start by the end of Q2 2025, then the SUP is to be revoked. Are you aware of this and agree to this if council approves your SUP application?
Yes, we were told that upon approval by council, after 30 days of that approval, we can start.
What is your expected construction period?
Our expected construction period is about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. As we told the P&Z, where we currently are, we have until April 2026. And we wanna make sure, we don't wanna rush it. We heard all the concerns. We heard about the traffic, we heard about the flooding, we heard about the detention pond, we heard all of that. And we want not to rush the job, we wanna make sure the job is done right. And I'm here, not just because I'm representing them, but I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna do it to law, we're gonna do it to standard. And as far as county regulations, the city of St. Paul, we're gonna meet, and we're gonna do it right. That was stressed by a couple people as well, as long as it's done right, it will be done right.
You know how, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Does P&Z have a in construction period for the SUP application here?
I think it was part of that.
You've got a
right.
construction needs to start by a time period. I did not see anything that said construction has to be completed by a certain date.
Yeah, further up,
There is. It is. It's in there.
12 to 18 months from the start of construction with an option to extend 180 days.
So
Right.
additional.
How can the town be certain that you'll have adequate funds to complete the project and not with all kinds of concerns and delays in potentially 2 to 3 years where we won't have a half-built construction on a residential property?
I can answer that, I understand, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Let me say this, that's why we're trying to put a lot.
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't get your name.
I'm Dexter Speller.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Yes, sir, nice to meet you too, thank you. And, what I wanna say is that, that's why we tried to abide by everything that has been put out to us from the start. We haven't tried to cut a corner, nothing. Even when we were trying to go back and make sure we did it right, we went to engineers, consulted everybody. And I wanna ensure everyone of this, and this is my word, from integrity as a husband, a father, and a pastor. We're gonna look at it. And if it affects anybody, that's why we're not gonna put up a half building. I'm not even gonna start it, because we gotta look at it. And that's what I want everybody to know. And I'm gonna be honest, I got tears in my eyes because sometimes you come in places like this and you don't have time to really represent yourself because everything's getting thrown at you. But I wanna say, I've heard everything that's been said. And I don't want anybody losing their home. I don't want anybody having heartaches. If it don't work and we don't have the right funding, the building can't go up, you don't have to worry about that. I'll come back to you and it'll never happen because that's not right. If it can't be done right, you don't do it. And that's the concern of everybody. The pond's not there right, if the engineer's not done right, the water's not done right, the lighting's not done right. That's why we had to go back and get an engineer to look at the lighting, actually do it. That's why we got Mr. Sprague here to go over everything. Everything has to be done right, but here's the integrity. Here's the integrity. If it cannot be done right, you don't build it and you walk away from it. And you turn it back to the house. It's just, we're just trying. Nothing's concrete. We're just trying to see if we can do something great. That's it. That's all, and nothing more. If it cannot happen, this is where integrity comes in. You don't do it.
No, Mr. Speller.
You don't do it. That's it, you don't do it.
Have you drove this anywhere else?
This is, I've been in the military for 20 years, 8 months, and 14 days. I've traveled the country in every war zone. So I came back, I was stationed in Alaska, that's in, you'll look at the Plano City Council, mayor wrote us a letter, I put it in there for you. I came here from Alaska, we built our church, started here in North Texas, and we've done well. I've been to Plano, and then we rented a space over in Allen, where Chief Harvey, at my grand opening, city council was there. You can call them, ask them about the spellers. Everybody knows us. So now we came here because we believe God sent us here. God sent us here. And so we came here, we're trying to do a work, trying to do it right, trying to go through the city council, trying to do everything everybody asks us, not cutting no corners, not stealing no taxes. I paid $18,000 for taxes on that property and don't wanna cut it, because that takes away from the fire marshal, that takes away from the college, that takes away from everything. So, no, taxes are paid on the property, and you gotta fund that. That's the right thing to do. So, I'm trying to hear right now. That's my.
You said Plano and Allen, were those in residential zones or commercial zones?
Well, the first building we got when we came from Alaska, it was in a shopping.
But have you built this type of, have you built one, or not moved into a facility that's already built, and you built?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Let me explain
Okay.
that. When we were in Alaska, me and my wife we built a house there in Eagle River. Some of you said in Alaska, Eagle River. And we had a 7-acre property that we acquired in Chudiak. And it was in a residential area, and they gave us permission, and it was a school, matter of fact, it was a house. We turned into a church, and then we had to transition. So what we did, we transitioned that, coming to Texas permanently, to another church there. That
So it was a school beforehand?
It was like a residential area. I don't know if it was.
It was
real
residential
old.
school?
Yeah, it was real old though, old school, kind of, somebody had it turned into a house. So we went in there and they let us get the land, 7 acres, and we put a lot of money into, and I can give you pictures of that.
And that was in Alaska, you said?
That's
Yeah, so
Alaska.
what's going on there at that property now?
Church still there.
Your church is still there?
That's a church there.
What's that?
It's a church there. That owns that 7
So,
acres.
so let's get to Plano and Allen here in
Yes,
Texas,
sir.
close by. Are those in residential zones or commercial zones?
Yes, sir. I will answer that for you. Well, when we got here, the first building that we had.
Was it residential or commercial?
It was in.
Yeah,
a
simple
commercial.
question.
It was a
Residential, commercial,
It
please.
was a commercial, like it's a shopping center commercial.
Okay, both of
Thank
you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question. In the list of responses from the P and Z from October 23, question 3, confirm that the understanding is that the SUP will be SUP property will be considered commercial property as long as the SUP is officially in place. If the SUP is revoked or expires, the property will return to being residential. In your response, yes, the SUP applicant understands that the SUP property will be considered commercial property. Yes, the SUP applicant understands that if the SUP is revoked or expired, the property will return to being residential. Based on this answer, what do you personally plan to do with the property if the SUP is ever revoked or expires?
You want to answer that?
Please.
I'm gonna keep making it beautiful, just like you see it right now. Every day painting it, making it beautiful, servicing it, making sure that it represents St. Paul the way that's supposed to. That's the way it's gonna look.
Question 4, please provide a rendering of the drawing, et cetera. Says, your response was, there are no expansion plans for the building. The metal church building will be 15,000 square feet, 1 level, 1 story, seating for 500 people. So based on your answer, there's no expansion plans for this property.
No, sir. And let me say this.
So, well, my question is, what are your plans or the church's plans to do with the property if you ever outgrow the 500-seat church building in the
Okay. Now, let me say this. The 500 seats, we're not at that capacity. We're really small. But that's projected.
You're a dynamic pastor, and I believe.
No, that's projected.
I believe you're.
That's projected, 500. Now, if you start growing, you cut down that 500. You never go over that 500. You just make a couple more services. That's how you do it. You don't go over that now.
So is the church is a tenant and you're the owner, the church could theoretically choose to break its lease and leave.
Put it this way, it's not.
But it can.
But it can. But something happens to you. I mean, we've had one pastor in Wiley die in the past year. We've had one in Allen pass away in the past year.
And I was part of a congregation that divided one time.
We won't, but we got succession.
I
already.
know, but.
Just an answer, I mean.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, we
Okay,
got
so you have
succession. We have succession in place where if anything happens to me, then succession takes place. That's for.
Okay, that's fine. There will be a sizable increase in water runoff from your development. This is in addition to the septic system runoff and the irrigation system.
Yes.
It looks like a detention pond would be necessary to protect the neighbors from erosion and flooding. I saw this in your preliminary site plan. Are you committed to a detention pond from the onset of the project?
We will abide by whatever guidance that planning, whatever law, whatever we're being required to do, but we don't wanna go outside of the laws either and do something that's gonna cause an issue that we haven't been given approval to either. So we will abide by whatever is asked of us, we will abide by it.
But that detention pond at the start of the project versus 18 to 24 months later, it could make a big difference in flooding and water.
And I'm gonna try to just repeat this again. Whatever for us professionally, engineers, that give us guidance that needs to be done, we will do it accordingly, 100%.
Thank you.
That's it.
Some of your neighbors have expressed concerns over the lighting impact of the homes next to your proposed development.
Yes, sir.
Can we hear from your lighting engineer that created the photometric site to assure homeowners that their lighting concerns will be addressed? None of us are lighting experts that can read and see this thing and understand what we're looking at.
Okay, can I go to the screen?
My question is, can we hear from your
Yes,
lighting engineer?
you can, yes. We hired an official electrical engineer and put together this plan. And he's, showed us, based on, if you look at the picture itself, you probably can't see it on the screen, but if you look at the picture, he shows there's a visibility metric in the faded part. And it shows that when it gets to Mr. Jeff's side of the, land, and then the north, it is at 0.0. So all the lighting will be on our property.
How are you gonna keep it on your property?
Based on the type of lighting that's gonna be installed. So if you look at that metric up there, you see where it has the circles? So if you look at, there's a dot right in the middle, that is your pole. The circle is the visibility of that lighting. So as you get outside that circle, your visibility goes down to 0. And then even the lighting that's on the building, the same thing. So the shapes are the lighting. And as you go outside of that, the visibility goes down. So it gets,
if I'm right here, I won't be able to see the light?
you could see the light, you can see, but it won't shine on the property.
Okay.
That was the issue.
Okay.
So under the, ordinance, Article 8, it said it cannot be on their property. So I gave your ordinance to our electrical engineer, and he put this plan according to St. Paul ordinance.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's within our ordinance.
It's
Okay.
according to, he built this according to your ordinance. Yes, sir.
Have you been able to confirm with TechStop the ability to build 2 driveways on Parker Road?
So TechStop is next in the planning process, and also we have our surveyor here. And so once the sub is approved, then our next step in the planning process, one of the entities that we have to talk with is TechStop. And what we did with the site plan, we took TechStop's plan and put it on top of our site plan. And so there's a turn lane that comes off, and so even with the parking, we've aligned it according to TechStop. So when we go to
I saw that the south entrance, you can turn left.
Right, and so all the traffic is on Parker Road, there will be no traffic going on Lakeview. So I'm not sure where all the Lakeview
Right, again, I
traffic.
think part of these questions
No,
are to let you clarify so that
yes,
people
yes,
can
sir.
actually hear.
Yes, sir.
what-
Yes, sir, but all the traffic will come out onto Parker, and again, we will do what TechStop, is telling us. But we've been in contact with Mohammed and, Jennifer.
Have the spellers, done any, what's the right term I need to use here? Taken the initiative prior to, after hearing P and Z concerns, have they taken any initiative to reach out to the EPA for certain surveys, ecological surveys, anything of that nature? Just been proactive?
We've been proactive, our surveyor is actually here. And so, we've worked with him along the way. He's done different like flooding certifications and so forth, even when the property was a purchase. But our surveyor works hand in hand with us on all that.
So your 3D rendering that you submitted to P and Z is awful. And I know it, I was in the P and Z meeting, and I know you spoke to that. Can you share with the homeowners some of your plans so that, because what was presented so far is.
Yeah, my kids do better on robots.
Hey, please.
Okay.
So can you speak to what your plans are and what your intentions are with this? Because hopefully it's not this.
No, it's not that. It's basically what we were told was, oh, yes, sir.
Sir, we need to let them speak. We're gonna have some questions. Please don't wear outbursts like that. One more, I'm gonna ask you to leave.
I'll just go ahead and leave now. And when I leave, I'm gonna go ahead and say this on the way out.
No,
Sir.
you're not.
Sir.
Drag it from the record.
No.
But hey, we'll all turn our houses into churches, so how about that?
Thank you.
No, I'm gonna tell you.
No.
We'll all be churches, so nobody get any tax money.
No,
and the
no,
people-
no.
Y'all know the right thing to
No.
do. What were you even here for?
No.
And the restroom should be open too. We pay for this.
That's not the restroom. Go to the back.
It's right there. It's locked.
That's not the restroom.
Let's go, man, let's go. I've had enough. Yeah, no. The civics engineering on this is Legos. It's ridiculous.
Sorry.
I apologize for that outburst. As Mayor Pro Tem, I guess I step in for a few minutes. David, go ahead, please.
So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to share with the neighbors what are they gonna look at? Paint us a picture.
So basically, what we're gonna do is a 3D TSS design. So we wanted to just give you an idea of what the size of the building would look like. And so it's gonna aesthetically look nice. We are even looking at things like putting some brick around the building and then even color. So if you drive by the property now, we have improved it 10 times. I mean, it looks beautiful from the street. And so if you look at that and what we're putting tons of financing, or not financing, funds into that property to beautify it. Because first of all, we answer to God. And second of all, because we're here for a purpose. We're here because God has sent us here. And so with that, we just knew we needed to show you what the size and the specifications of the building. But in the next phase, we'll start designing and putting that together. But it's gonna look beautiful. I mean, we have pictures from our previous locations, and it's beautiful. I mean, we don't take shortcuts, and beautifying God's house is a priority because we're here to serve people.
Where's the dumpster gonna be placed?
So what we will do, per your ordinance, Article 8, it will be just like you have out here. You have like a gate or like
Let me just approximate where on the.
approximately. Okay. So the building here will face west. So more than likely, it's probably gonna be right at the top, right, no, about right there. So you have space right there to put that.
Okay, so yeah.
But again, once we get to working with our civil engineer and our surveyors and the necessary people, we will put it in the best place. But it will not be an eyesore. I believe that's the issue. It will not be an eyesore.
Is there a playground plan for the property?
No, sir, we're not doing a playground. But that's not to say we won't have things where our children can do things to have fun. So we'll put things up, but like, going out, building like what you see in the park.
In relation to the septic sprayers and.
No, we will not put anything in where it should not be, but we will have things for our children to enjoy. No ball is gonna go over an 8-foot fence, but we will put things in place.
You sure about that?
No ball. It's not gonna go. Because if you think about it, I mean, look at your drawing.
You can't put it at the top, and you couldn't put it down there. So more than likely, wherever we put an area for the children to play, it's gonna be right in the open areas. But we're not gonna go build like, you know, the playgrounds you see at a park.
And let me say this, if anything, and I wanna show you this, if we have to try to adjust anything, a hair, we're coming back. I'll ask you, and we'll make sure everybody's informed.
With that said, would you be opposed to us putting additional requirements maybe beforehand to reassure anybody?
Yeah, I'm with you, like I said, whatever is
Before
gonna.
granting the SUP.
Yes, whatever is gonna show everybody's heart. And let me just say this, I haven't reached out to you yet, but you know what, I've heard your heart, and I'm hoping that I can come back to you. And if this don't work, it ain't gonna happen. I promise you that right here tonight. I promise you that, and I'll leave it at that. It will happen.
Dexter, I'd like to speak to that, because I'm hearing your integrity, and as an old Army guy myself, retired Army, I appreciate your service also as a chief. My question on this really doesn't have anything to do with the church. It has to do with the property. And that property, I've been out here for 38 years, and I know that property well. I cannot fathom how you can put any more concrete on that property without it continuing to flood downstream. I'm very familiar with it. Have you been down, have you looked at your property from the bottom side and seen there's actually a 4-foot jump between his property and your property? Your property's 4 feet higher than his, and it has a drain pipe that goes in and comes out in the middle of his yard. That comes directly down, here's his property here, that comes directly down here, okay? I'm gonna be honest with you, as a businessman, I don't see how this is going to be a viable project because of the amount of concrete. You're gonna put 4 acres of concrete in here. All of that would normally be soaking up water. It's sitting, this is flat land up here. Everything up here is flat. Where you're coming in here is actually where it starts to break down in a hill, and it comes down in a huge hill here. I've looked at that property multiple times, and I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not in my opinion, that's not a commercially viable project, which is why it is a ranch house, okay? That is probably the worst location that I can think of in our city limits, for actually with the draw coming in here.
20-foot drop, not a 4-foot.
No, I'm sorry, there's a 4-foot drop from the very back of this property.
No, it says 535 and you got 535.
Oh, no, I'm talking about from here to here.
Oh, okay.
He's actually had to build a berm up there, and the water actually comes down with a ramp coming up and onto the water, or onto the property. And so in my mind, I don't see the feasibility. I cannot imagine how big this pond would have to be to absorb all this water. I'm a land speculator also, and
we're gonna let the professionals answer that, because we've had it surveyed and looked at by the engineers, so we just got.
Do you have that survey?
Okay, and we've got it.
But do we have the physical?
I've been on this property multiple times where there's an inch of water, okay? According to Google, we're gonna get 3 inches tonight. So that means that once again, there's gonna be some serious flooding going on down there. And I guess my point in this really, as a man of integrity, I don't see where, and I'm just speaking, me to you.
Right. We haven't, I'm gonna be honest, I have to let the professionals answer that, because
Right.
I haven't seen the flooding. That's all I'm saying. You're saying you've seen the flooding.
Absolutely.
But I'm back there cutting it, and I haven't, and I go back there after it rains. And we have the little building over here just to make sure water is going in none of these buildings.
So can you introduce your?
Right, I'm right here, but when I go back
You're
here,
talking
right, when I go back here, like after it rains, I don't, like tonight or tomorrow, after it rains, what you're saying, I'm gonna go back there again, but what I'm saying, I have not seen it.
Okay, and when you go back here, you're gonna be standing up here, and you're gonna be looking over a 4-foot drop to where the water is. Okay, so your property in my mind, against state law, you're dumping water onto a neighbor. And that should be.
Mr.
Okay.
Pro Tem, this is our surveyor, Mr. Fred, who works very closely with our civil engineer, who
Okay.
helped with this. So he will speak on our behalf, if that's okay.
Yeah, great.
First of all, I've been listening to all the input.
Address us, please, if you don't mind.
And, you know, I've been to meetings in some of the other smaller communities, and first I want to say that they probably express themselves better than any other place I've been to. When I first moved to Plano in '83, and I went to some of the smaller towns, and it was annexation. All it was they had to call the deputy sheriff or constable in there because everybody was getting out of hand. But anyway, so I want to commend everybody for your testimony and everything. One thing that I like to point out, and y'all's hands are really tied because this is just the beginning of the process. The only thing that we've concentrated on is they came to Steve Helberger as the engineer, and I'm the surveyor, and I surveyed the property, and I walked probably most of it. And I'm the one that drew this, but Steve was the one that kind of created it. And we used then we had the site evaluation for the on-site sanitary facilities. And that's where they came up with all the sprinklers and everything. And Mr. Bradberry with David Weekly Homes and everything, we do a lot of surveying for the builders and stuff in the area. And he's right. The two main factors in this right here that's gonna make it or break it, number one is TxDOT. Because safety is paramount. And the second one, and like I said, all we've done is we did a topographic survey, but we haven't done a flood study over the whole area and everything, is the water. And believe me, it's unbelievable what amount of water coming down a creek can do. When you've got one of these tanker cars, and they've cut both ends out, and they put it in a creek that's maybe as wide from here to there, and you get a 3 or 4 inch rainfall, it'll take that thing and just shove it right down the creek. It's amazing what water will do. And that's probably going to be the main factor right there. But just forget about TxDOT. And
that was the other side of the beast I was
absolutely
gonna
right
discuss,
and everything. And it's been tough sitting back there and listening to all this testimony and everything, but everybody's hit the nail on the head. All it is the beginning of the process. Anytime somebody comes to us and this is what they want to do, you have to make sure that you're in compliance with the ordinances and so forth. And but it's the beginning of the process. We did the surveying, and Gozer Engineers did the engineering on the Montessori school over here in that tract of land. Well, you can see that the easterly part of it hadn't been developed because that pond there. So that right there is a perfect example. And just because there's property out there, you can't necessarily develop it because there's things that get in the way and stuff. But I submit to you that if we went forward, you all said go ahead and go with it. The water situation, like you said, is probably going to nix the whole thing.
In your opinion, have you ever experienced anything like this, that drastic of a change for water, for watershed, 4 acres going down 20-foot drop slope.
I mean, it's a tremendous amount, I mean, Steve Elmer can calculate it till he
Right.
finds out what the watershed is up there.
Yeah.
You know, now when you look at a FEMA map, that's based on existing situation, and it's always changing because it's not fully developed, you know. Like I said, like when Inspiration went in, Lord knows how much water was dumped into the creeks and everything, and sometimes, you know, that's not in St. Paul's jurisdiction. That's Collin County right there, isn't it, Leanne? And, so, you know, it's probably supposed to be directed to the lake, except where the tributaries, it's gonna go to the tributaries and so forth,
So I just heard you say something that I'm concerned about, and Dexter, I want you to hear it clear. The water situation there is not gonna be a cheap situation. It may very well nix the whole project, and the reason I'm bringing this up to you, Dexter, is I want your money well spent. I want your heart and everything where y'all are dealing with, helping the people here at St. Paul. I want y'all to do that, okay? I don't want you to be chasing a rabbit down a hole that just, it ain't gonna hunt.
With all due respect, that's not our responsibility, that's theirs. Their financing is their responsibility, not ours.
I'm saying it, okay, I'll buy off on that. However, I will say that I do not see that as being a financially viable project. The water, so, yeah.
If you ask your consulting engineer to look at the watershed and ask him what his thoughts are, I can just about guarantee you what he's gonna say, because he knows where the water's gonna go. It's gonna go downhill, and it's gonna have an adverse effect on everybody that lives down there. I mean, that's a fact.
Exactly.
There's not any way you can divert it, or you can impound it, because it's not gonna work.
That's my point.
Why are we here?
Well, we're up here with TxDOT, is they're widening, okay? Their widening plan right now is based upon the fact that they're gonna be dumping their water onto your property and further down and onto your property, and it's gonna go down, and it's gonna be still in the creek and coming in on the creek and continuing to take out his bridge and his dam. And it will continue going over Lakeway, or Lakeview at that far corner.
So the only surveying that you did, the only thing that you've done to the property thus far, sir, is just a topo survey? Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, first of all, I'm Democious Angelina Speller, that's what's on your paper. And I thank y'all for, even the meeting on tonight. A lot of the information, we didn't know. So you don't know until you submit. And so when we purchased the property, it was no deed restrictions. It doesn't say all of this information that y'all are bringing out. And so we didn't know that the water was flooding down to other people's property. We didn't have that information. That wasn't none of the information when we purchased the property. If we would have known some of that, maybe we would have looked at a different property. I don't know. But that wasn't something that was brought to our attention. So now that we're here and we're finding out, like, hey, y'all are having problems with the water going down. Okay, I think the next thing for us to do would be to really get what is a civil engineer, the water, whoever does the water, okay? Whoever's in charge of that.
Oh, he is.
He is in charge of it for tonight, for our 3-4 inches, but whoever can give us a clear, concise plan of how much it's gonna cost to make it, functional, where it's not gonna damage anybody's property. And then we can assess, like, hey, like you're saying, financially, is this something we can tackle? Because it may not be, but all we're doing is looking at, trying to do something with the property. Now that we submitted it, we have all the information, probably not all of it. We're probably gonna find out more even as we go into it, but it was the first step. So from what I'm understanding, we gotta find out about the sub, we gotta find out about the septic. Where's the water going? How is it gonna flow? What other issues are gonna happen if we put more concrete on the property? So maybe that can be one of y'all guidelines, or, you know, the next thing that we have to find out before we move further, because it might be out of our price range to do that and then try to do a building and try to do, you know, and so that probably would be the pause. So we don't know, because from my understanding, the next step would, as far as the engineering and all the other stuff, it comes after you get
Yeah, I mean, normally, if you don't mind, normally that is the case.
Yeah.
We're going through we're going through a special use permit.
Right.
Because the property is residential.
Right.
That's why it doesn't have any restrictions on it, because if you wanna put a house on it, there's not gonna be a problem.
Right.
So we're going through, it is a process to go through it, and then, you're right, the SUP is usually independent of that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It sounds like that we're gonna need to do something to make sure these things are tied off.
Yes, sir. And then from our understanding, a church could be in a residential property. So that's another reason why we didn't go as far as digging all commercial, because from everything that I've looked up under, a church can be in a residential area.
Right.
So I'm thinking, you know, it's other things that is taking place, and it's fine. Like, I respect everybody in here, and, you know, we're not coming in trying to pose a problem, damage anybody's property. You know, people live here. I get it. Like, I got, like, what, 8 grandkids. I have 6 children of my own, so I understand having a home and enjoying where you're living. I get it. And we're not trying to come in and cause a problem. But we submitted a sub to just see what the outcome is gonna be. It's a lot of issues that gotta be answered. We don't have all the answers, because a lot of that stuff is probably gonna be answered in the next step. But because it is so many concerns with the residents, some of that information we gotta get ahead of time, and I understand that.
When you bought the property, did you plan on doing this?
No.
When we bought the property, honestly, if you wanna know the truth, I didn't know, we bought the property, I didn't know what we were gonna do with the property. I was thinking about building my dream house on the property.
There you go.
And we were thinking about that, and we still got ideas, but we believe that the Lord spoke to us. That's the thing, and we're trying to go through the right way, through the right process to see what His will is. And so, this is the process. And so we can respect everybody here, and cordially, we've done it, everything that's been asked of us. So even with concern about the water tonight, the next step is, like Mr. Freya said, right? We gotta find out about the water, because if that water is gonna run down on my neighbor's house, then we're not gonna do it, because that's not right. Because then that's where it becomes the problem. Because if it's gonna run down on my neighbor's property, then we're not gonna do that. That's where it's gotta stop. But we gotta go forward, and this is what we gotta trust right here too. We gotta go forward to see what the plan is, like we've done so far with everything. We followed everybody's guidelines to the T. But we gotta be able to go forward to see what the next step is, and do it with integrity. And that's the key. We have to do it with integrity.
Can I request that the lady be able to ask a question?
Did that make sense?
Yes.
I'm sorry, this is not, before we get off of drainage, I have a question that we haven't addressed to this point. I'm on Terry Pittman, 1489 Lakeview. I'm lot 5 and 6, I think, maybe, right next to Tony Wilder. Yep. So that is probably the high point of the hill. And I haven't looked at my back acre with this in mind. But if there is an 8-foot masonry wall at my back property line, then that could very well impact drainage either onto my property that's not going there now, or depending on where it is, based on the top of the hill, could be draining into my neighbor's property or on down, not on their property,
All that would be
obviously, because
considered
there'll
by
be
a
a
civil
wall there.
engineer.
So there's other drainage to consider in this plan outside of just the property that's in question. So how would I plug into this plan to
So,
make
so
sure?
a civil engineer would be definitely involved, and they would have to consider it would be the responsibility of their engineers to coordinate with and align with our ordinances, one being the masonry wall, okay? So they would have to consider the 8-foot masonry wall being alongside of your property and how that's gonna affect the flood. So our engineer would then do a final sign off saying, yes, they've addressed all of our ordinances, all of our concerns, and it meets all of the, all the engineering guidelines for them to be able to put their seal of approval on.
Right. So I would expect contact from the engineering firm to do a survey of my property as part of this?
That would, no, that
I
would
couldn't
be-
answer, I'm not the engineer, however, I can at least say that I would expect for an engineer to coordinate with the surveyor what the direction of the land is, as I tried to correct Mr. Crow when he was saying there's a 4-foot drop. I thought he meant from the beginning of the property. I was saying there's a 20-foot drop from the back.
From your property.
Right, all the way to your side of the property.
Yeah, and I'm
So-
just not sure where that drop starts on my property. It may be going,
Right, and that would be the responsibility of a civil engineer.
okay. All right, well, I will assume then.
They may not contact you, but they probably would survey that area.
Definitely, right. You may or may not receive a, knock on your door saying, hey, do you mind if we come to the back of your property?
So really, this is a safe process, it really is. And that's why I want everybody just to kind of just relax and breathe a little bit, because you can't really do anything, because if one person comes in and says, this ain't right, this won't happen, you can't go past that, because everybody's got to check and balance, down to the fire department, down to the council, down to everybody, engineers, the water, everything has to be addressed, because if you don't, it's not gonna go forward.
Yeah, Mr. Paul, I agree with that. I do want to just point out, you own the property though for a year or two, and some of these concerns have not just surfaced now. So they've been around for a while, so you could have mitigated some of this by just being neighborly. Again, I'm pro-church, but you could have been more neighborly, and a lot of this has been alleviated.
Right, and I'm very neighborly with a lot of people, we're neighborly with food pantries, different ones. We talked to, but hold on, but I'm just gonna be honest, when we came to the first P and Z meeting, it was a lot of hostility in here, and you didn't wanna approach nobody, I really just wanted to try to get out the door with my life. I'm serious, and I didn't wanna, cause the things that got up, we were just trying to present, and people were getting up, calling names and coming in, I mean, it was scary. I went home, took my wife, we went home. So, I think we all got to step back and step back and pray.
I was here.
Because we gotta step back, because the truth is, it was a hostile environment. I never experienced anything like that in my life. I'm being honest, we just came here to present a plan that was asked from us from the P and Z. And everything that happened, it was like,
Well, that's what we're asking for you today, so.
yeah, we were just in here, and it seemed like, and I'm just being honest, that's why a lot of, they just told us they didn't want us, they didn't wanna talk to us, so why would you approach someone that basically telling you they didn't wanna talk to you, they didn't even get to know us. Jeff was here, but he's not here anymore. Jeff's grandson comes over, he was cutting the property here, and Jeff comes over, he talked to, Dave was the only one nice. Dave came over, and Dave lives in a big White House, and Dave walked up to us and said, hey, come on down, the gate's open, man, come on over, anytime you wanna come over.
That's
But
him right there.
that's Dave, yeah, he look good, but what I'm saying is, it takes a couple people, it still takes people being kind. And right now, and let me just say this out loud, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna go ahead home and take my wife. I've been married 29 years, all my kids are married, all my grandkids are doing successful. I'm not no banger, I'm not no nothing, I served my country 20 years. I've got every high commendable rating from every high officer, I've worked for generals. It broke every record in the military. This is what I'm saying, we got to get to know each other, and sometimes I think we stereotype. I came in here just to ask to do a project. That's all I did. And people have attacked us, laughed at us, ridiculed us, but nobody ever sat down just to say, hey, I'm David, I'm Tony, how you doing? What's your thoughts? But I'm threatened with lawsuits, everything. That's all we hear. That's all we hear. But nobody asked, how many people have you helped? How many people been saved? How many people you done took off fentanyl? How many people that you gonna start committing suicide? How many people you help every Sunday?
Appreciate it.
How
I
many
don't mean
people,
to-
how many
I
people
don't
you
mean to take
feed
you off
every
that
week?
track, but.
How many times she?
We're here for your application.
Yeah, how many marriages?
Pardon me, sir, Mr. Speller, we're here for your application. While I
Right, it's kinda
appreciate,
like-
I do
I
appreciate
think
it.
that part right there need to be said, because everybody I heard the council saying, why haven't you reached out? The thing is this, no one has one time approached me out of love either.
Where were you?
Now, I'm here every day, you can come over here, you see me working
Mr.
every
Speller,
day. I'm working every day.
let's focus here. We're here for your application.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Let me say one thing about this water situation. It's a hydrologist that's gonna be able to tell you.
Mhm.
And with all the information that's out nowadays with the LiDAR and everything, which is pretty coptic and accurate and everything, but with what we've done already there, and with them plugging in the LiDAR, and what they do is they lay out a model, they'll be able to tell you how much water, depending on rainfall and stuff, is gonna go down to the bottom of that hill, and we'll have the answers to that. And you can get Cardinal Strategies, Pastor to do it, you can get Nathan Meyer to do it, whatever. But I work with both of those folks right there, but they can determine how much water, but it's gonna be tremendous.
What you need to understand, they are living with that water
That's a lot
now.
of surface
And if you add more, it's gonna be worse. So.
Okay.
Tim is still there.
What's that?
Tim has had a question here for.
Okay, Dave, do you have any more questions? Council, do you have any more questions?
I mean, I don't think I have a question for them, we need to, at some point, deliberate on how, what we
Yeah,
can do.
we need to deliberate on what we should do. We can have, if we have additional questions, we'll ask them. I think we're gonna.
We definitely need to have a deliberation period, not just a motioning period.
Yes. So, you wanna open it up?
I would just like to make one quick comment. I appreciate people who help other people and get them off drugs and et cetera, et cetera. But there's a song called They Paved Paradise and Put Up a Parking Lot. That's, I think, you know, somebody said earlier, it's an oasis here. So, sorry.
Thanks.
Anyway, that's the point. It's pretty right now, but it's not.
My question, if we're ready to start talking
Yeah.
deliberation, can we?
Actually, I'd like to see what Tim had to say. He's been trying to say something for a few minutes.
He just made the comment that he would not do this if he was gonna dump water onto other people's property. He already is, okay? So if that's the case, then that negates this whole thing. His own engineer just sat here and told you that that was going to negate this whole project. Why are they going forward? Why are we even here? When their own engineer has already told you that this is not feasible.
So,
That's exactly what
in
I'm
the interest of fairness, that
Now-
was a surveyor, that's
Okay.
not his engineer.
I understand.
But we definitely will.
But how in the world can y'all approve an SUP prior to any of this information?
Gotta get the info first.
Because
So
once
that's
you
what we're
approve
about,
that,
because
they've already said, once you approve it, they're going on with construction right then. That line and all that work.
It's not an accurate statement.
Hold on, one person.
That's what it said. That's what.
There's a process, but there's still building permits, there's still studies, there's still
Okay.
plans that have to go through.
That's not what
There's
you said.
constituents.
Okay.
This
Okay.
process, they've gotta have us approve an SUP before they can do anything else.
And the
Right.
default.
And then that's
And
where-
how can y'all approve
So, hey,
SUP?
so the default of the SUP is not to get into this level of detail. One of the things I'm going to ask, once we get into the deliberation mode, which I'll go ahead and do it now, is that I believe that we need to tie the engineering survey to the SUP approval. we shouldn't move forward until we have more detail about the hydraulics. I don't believe that the gentleman said that it wasn't feasible. He said that if it was gonna get caught up on anything, it was gonna be the water. I don't believe he said it was not feasible. And also,
I misunderstood.
obviously, if you're gonna have a 20-foot range on it, or 20-foot drop on it, I have more than 20-foot drop on my property, you're gonna have runoff. The question is it gonna add more runoff than it currently has? Because what they're supposed to do when they develop property is not increase the runoff. And you do that with retention walls and dams and all that kind of stuff.
That's money.
So that's what it sounds like, you know, if we could get into the deliberation portion, is that possible to tie, I think it is, the engineering to the SUP approval, because I believe we need to do that.
We can do that, or
Thank
we
you.
can request additional
Thank you.
studies before we go any further on a discussion.
Right.
Thank you.
That kind of feels like that's our two choices.
So you wanna open this for discussion? Okay. So, was there something you said something out there? Okay. Nope. So let's go ahead and open it for discussion. Robert, I know you have more to say about that?
I mean, that's the main thing. The text dot one is not, it's important that they have a cutout, and at least one turn in to be able to turn left into the property. Not that both would be required. But also, if you look into the traffic amounts that are predicted on Parker Road, and the reason that when they designed it, they have that median so large is so that it can be one day a 6-lane road. The amount of traffic going in there is not gonna be affected by 150, 200, 500 people going to church. There's gonna be a lot of people on that road. And it's gonna be tough to get on it, and that's, my daughters, all 3 of them went to Wyatt East and had to turn left out here, and just about died every time, so I get it. But I'm not as concerned about text dot, except that there should be some kind of left turn in, and we probably should have some kind of, you know, affirmative from them that can be done, and that be part of the SUP as well.
I concur. I mean, you know, we definitely need, I think that we need to have surveys done, before we consider the approval of the SUP. So it would take, we could allow the spellers additional time. You know, they've got till next meeting to at least begin their survey before we even consider the SUP. Just to see, this addresses some of, you know, Dryden's concerns from the financial aspect. Because I think you can control water, you can route water, okay, to certain areas, but it's just how much money can we throw at it? And knowing that a forecast of that would help alleviate a lot of the concerns, whether it's even feasible by the spellers. Okay, so we need to give them the opportunity to say yea or nay, that this is something that we can, are willing to take on.
Okay, I understand that, but don't you think they have that opportunity with the question from P&Z?
I do. I definitely think that there was opportunity to be able to present to council, you know, knowing that there was going to be additional questions, or at least it would have been my assumption that there would have been additional questions. I sat at the, you know, at all the P&Z meetings as a resident, so I was here in Plains.
I don't think you need to point to P&Z. I think if y'all wanna make additional requirements, you make additional requirements, but you don't.
I was answering a question from the mayor.
Yeah, thank you.
So, but yes, I do believe that could have been done. However, here we are, so it's definitely something that we should consider beforehand. It's in my opinion, if we can, it's a special use permit, so I think we can dictate that, we can change the order of the operations, or at least put a requirement as part of the process.
Because of this particular situation.
Correct.
And what's
It's a
before us.
special use permit, so
We
it's
really can't, we don't
outside
have.
of the norm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I thought
it's
you were
just,
finished.
no, it's just outside of the norm. You can go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking, so, I mean, because of the federal laws and state laws, we don't really have the option to go, hey, we don't like this, we're not gonna do this. It's not a jack in the box, it's a religious request. So that's why they can put them pretty much anywhere in a town and it's protected.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
And the law
then
disagrees
let's-
with that.
Okay,
So,
then let's
go ahead.
get the lawyer here so that he can be here on meetings and not go to some other town's meetings instead of ours. But with that said, you know, the thing is that what we've gotta figure out, are we impacting other properties? Because that's important, and safety. So the safety and the impact of other properties from the water runoff. That's what we've got, that's what we've got to, that's what we've got to be able to, we can't go, hey, we don't like churches, or we don't like that church, or we don't like this people, you know, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the law anywhere says that you can discriminate on a church putting.
And I don't think that was ever brought up tonight, and.
Okay,
I don't know
I think
that-
John
why
just said
that's
there's
brought
law,
up.
case, and all that kind of stuff, so I'm keying off of what John says. What I'm saying is that we've got to make sure that the runoff that is being put on the property doesn't adversely impact the other residents that have been there or may want to build. There may be property there that they want to build on, or cause such a runoff that they can't use that property. That, I believe,
I think
we
that's
need
already been
to.
established tonight.
It's not established. I didn't hear him say that it was a non-starter. I don't think he's speaking. Sir, are you speaking on behalf of the hydro engineers that you were talking about earlier? I didn't gather that from you. Are you making conclusions on their behalf?
That's up to the preacher.
I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, are you that kind of engineer? Are you an engineer that can?
You're a land surveyor.
I know a hydrologist.
Right, but you're not speaking as a hydrologist, are you? Are you speaking as a hydrologist?
What is he licensed as?
Yeah, it's the hydrologist gonna have to determine that.
Okay, right, okay.
Not him.
So we need more information is all I'm saying. And that, I believe we can ask for, and that we can use as a reason to or to not approve, but not the sheer fact that, you know, we don't like this idea, because unfortunately, the way the state and federal laws are, we don't have an option to say yes or no to the idea itself.
Correct. But if there's any ill effects on other properties, we can't.
I got a feeling of that.
What's that?
I just got a feeling of that, that's all. So I just wanna make sure that's clear. Is that any decisions we make are not because of the idea of what's going to happen with the property, it's gonna be offset the impacts of that work.
Correct.
And is it clear that the SUP is only for a religious, it's not for anything else commercial? Dance hall couldn't be a new tenant at some place.
But an additional service or a service provided by?
That'd be,
Well, it's a church, it's always a church.
so this SUP is exclusively for a church use?
Yes.
Church use with administration.
Sure.
So, Gary, I appreciate you and the entire P&Z going through this, and you had a bunch of great questions, came up with a bunch of answers and responses. Appreciate you going through it and getting it back to us so that, council can figure out where we're going to be moving with it. With that being said, I'd like to table this, based on getting more information and giving the Spellers time to pursue what their options are and figure out, is this a viable project? We need a hydrologist to come in and do this.
I was really hoping to try to get an answer on this tonight. I understand, listening to everybody's comments up here, that we can.
So
But we're not, it's not a tabling, it would be postponing to the next meeting. So,
What I heard were two choices, either an approval with restrictions that we see certain things, or a postponement.
Well, I think that we don't approve the SUP until we have that other information. So if that's a postponement, I guess that's fine. If that's probably the proper term.
That's
Because either way, what we're asking the applicants to do is to go spend a little money with a hydrologist, with an engineer, with whomever, to come up with more information.
Well, the
to
plan,
connect us.
a plan and information, right? Because they go hand in hand. How big the retention pond is, how large, and it's really gonna need to have.
So either way, that
OSSF
information is
system
gonna have to be
would need to be
provided
figured out too.
Correct.
Right, so,
before an SUP is actually approved, even if we give them a condition.
Because wouldn't you need to know the OSSF information too?
yes, because of that, right, so that water runoff, where it's gonna go, so you would then dive into an ecological
I
survey.
believe the
which-
OSSF has already been signed off on this.
I think it's on the, isn't that on the existing?
That's on the existing system that they got.
Yes,
Yes,
So
we
it's in the
provide that.
existing.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So one of the other things that we, on that OSSF, touching base with that side of the properties, we have some of those properties are county or ETJ, which will then, we would need to consider the wall. Okay, so the masonry wall, which would not be required to put up a masonry wall, so now we're gonna have gaps. So this is something that we all need.
But we do have 800 and something feet on the south side of the property that is all residential.
Correct, so I think this is something that we, the council, need to consider, since I guess, P and Z asked the question, the response from the P and Z is, we'll let the town of St. Paul council decide this matter, so I think we need to decide this matter. Are we willing to accept gaps, or do we need to go ahead and say, either A, we completely remove it, because we don't want a spotty wall, B, patch up that wall, so we close those gaps and make that requirement, because the, ordinances, chapter A, specify that, it leaves it up basically for our interpretation, so we can close it up. Because while it's not directly impacting, directly city or town property, that address would be a town address or city address. So this is, or C completely.
I don't think, like, how did you put it, like, having the masonry wall and then not because of the county and all that?
Correct.
With this property, if the whole property's within the town, I think we could hold up that 8-foot masonry wall.
Well, I think you have some property that's partial. So you've got partial ETJ, and the front part of it is
Well, they're saying this, just the entire part of this property is in our town limits, so we
Yeah,
can
but
insist on whatever.
Yeah.
We feel is best interest.
This specific property is in our town.
Right.
Abutting property is
The
in
abutting
ETJ,
property,
our
correct,
county.
correct, so this is, that abutting property, okay, never mind, so then it's
all in our town.
It's all in our town, so that.
So tonight from citizen comments, I did not hear a single homeowner oppose the whole, building.
Neither did I.
Oppose the wall?
I
I
had
think
no
there was
real-
one or two that opposed it.
To not tonight.
Yeah, there was a lady back here that opposed.
Yeah.
She didn't wanna look at an 8-foot masonry wall.
But she also didn't want, in period, which
That's
is just not.
That's true.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
I believe
14.
that was in a heated outburst of, we don't plan on
We had 15 people speak that were, nobody spoke against the wall tonight.
Can we send something out
Okay,
to
so,
the adjoining property owners for their yes or no?
Can we scroll down on the map, please? I just wanna see that, sorry,
There.
down, the opposite direction.
Up.
Okay, there is nothing, okay, cool.
So when you're considering the hydraulics and all of those studies that are coming, I mean, you need to be specific of what it is you're gonna ask for. That wall will change those water flows
Absolutely.
and create different trajectories, so those are.
So will the
So those
text
are-
stop.
So I guess we would have to define how that masonry wall would be built, if it's gonna be elevated off the ground to allow the water to come
The
down.
engineer should be able to figure that out, right?
Right, I would think that the civil
It can't
engineer,
be,
cause there could be a multiple scenario
Right.
type.
okay, so, we need some type of motion tonight to either postpone this to the next meeting.
I make a motion, we postpone this until the meeting in May.
Okay, but what, if we're gonna postpone it, why are we postponing it?
Cause it's 9:50 and we have not,
That's not a reason.
Yeah, we haven't even
We need the specific
approved our
reason
last
why
meeting.
you
Can I
want to postpone
suggest
it.
something else too? We do have an engineer ourselves.
Yeah.
We can have this discussion with him. We can find out exactly what it is we're gonna require from an engineering standpoint. One thing I think we do need to know, wall, no wall, because that will change what we need to see, what they're gonna have to answer. I mean, there's just,
Okay.
effects, cause and effect.
Okay, I understand we want to postpone it, but we can't postpone it because it's 9:50 PM. What are the reasons why you want to postpone it?
Well.
To get more
To
information?
get more information.
What information do you want?
Our choices are yes, no, or we need more information. right now, I would like more information. I've already asked that we be able to speak to the lighting engineer and get a little more clarity over that, if he's agreed to that. I think it's feasible to request that we have some form of a study about this water issue, because that is a big irrevocable deal. Every homeowner tonight expressed concerns over it.
Yeah, I think we need to.
It's a big deal to our
have
homeowners.
we need to have the engineering around the OSSF system, the retention pond, and the water runoff and the impact it's gonna either cause or not cause based on that engineering.
I'd like to see the current launch survey as well, what it's doing currently, and then versus what it's going to do.
They should be able to show that, yeah, but yes, it should do the before and after of any kind of.
You mentioned three things.
An additional
OSSF,
scenarios.
water runoff, third thing, what was the third thing you mentioned?
The retention pond,
Retention.
and the engineering around the retention pond. And
Will the septic run 500 feet?
Okay.
Okay,
You wanna make the motion with all that stuff, so we can get a second and get a vote on it?
Well, let's make sure we've got everything that we're asking for.
Yeah, let's get all.
But that's why we
Let's just capture it and then we can read it off once we've captured it. I guess are you taking the notes?
I've got OSSF,
Wall.
water runoff, retention pond, lighting, wall,
And basically the engineering for that property, right?
engineering to include the hydraulics.
Yes.
Basically, we're pretty much asking for a final plat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, because that would also include an erosion control plan.
The civil engineer should be able to do all that.
I would like to ask that plan be presented in consideration of what TxDOT is doing, not what is there now.
Correct.
And I'd like to see the drainage for
Because
TxDOT.
we're gonna have storm sewers that we don't have now, and that water is gonna be diverted somewhere.
Right. So I think TxDOT currently has a flow plan, I don't have an official
They
plan.
have, because, Jeff and I insisted on seeing it for our properties. Because that's a lot of water that's being dumped on, right?
So it definitely don't want to cross the road, but it.
Right now, the spillway is between Jeff's property and.
Yeah, it's coming down.
the owner's property. So we've got water coming in right at that southwest corner of this property.
So that creek's gonna rise.
So
We know that.
I think that study needs to be presented on.
And then also,
My question is this, and,
hold on, real quick, sir. With that, all that said, there's a lot there. And the responses that were given to P and Z were pretty vague. You know, our civil engineer will calculate the flow and the site plan will be approved. Do we want a deadline for this information to get back to us?
No.
So we can put this out for 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, it's not our time to consider it.
Okay. I'll just put it out there, I think we should have a deadline for them.
Whenever they're ready for us to look at it.
Right.
we'll look at it.
Right.
It'll be on the next agenda as soon as they want us to know.
So my understanding of this is we're gonna visit with our engineer to make sure the information we're asking for is complete.
Yeah.
This right now is what your motion is for this evening too.
Yeah, I mean, you wanna read it to us? What do you have?
Well, she can't read it, whoever's gonna make the
Pass it down to
motion
me and I'll read it.
has to read it.
Yeah, right here.
Thank you, David.
All right, an OSSF study?
Yeah,
Plan?
well, I mean, my point was that the
Yeah.
engineering needs to include the OSSF,
Now, let me-
the retention pond and the runoff effects is what I was.
For 500 people.
Right.
Now, your OSSF study, there's two parts to that. There's the OSS study by the sanitarian. Then the sanitarian goes to the county has to approve the plan, but that's usually on the final plan. So I wanna make sure you understand what you're asking for on the OSSF. If you're going from just the sanitarian standpoint, or are you looking for
Everything.
everything?
We want everything.
All
The
inclusive.
preliminary from the county.
What we are being asked is to take a 9+ acre piece of property that's residential and radically and forever change it. So it's not a small ask that they're giving to us. So what we're asking for back is not a small ask back. It's a big deal. We've got a fiduciary duty here for the entire town for this piece of property.
Okay, so some of the citizens that had some comments and worries, one of them was the 100-year flood and the retention pond. Can we put that in there?
If we get FEMA involved.
That'll all come out in the hydrology study.
So if we get FEMA involved, that should encompass most of that.
So OSSF water runoff, retention pond, lighting, whatever wall design, and impact, engineer, hydrologist, erosion control, all of it based upon what's, is gonna happen with, TxDOT, that, water runoff.
You better write that motion out and understand it.
Sir.
We will.
You don't sound like it.
Please, sir. Is there anything else?
Anything else? That's all encompassing, isn't it?
So I have a motion. Well, second.
He's gotta read it as a motion.
Hang on.
I think
Before we do this,
we got.
Mr. Speller.
ask for the floor.
Yes, I was gonna say this, I don't wanna look like it, but it's like, every time we come here, we're asked for more things, and we gotta pay more money. Every time, it's more money, more money, more money, more money. So, it's okay, and we're gonna do it, and we'll do it. I will do it. But every time we've come to the P&Z, we've been asked to go back after we gave the list that they asked us. When we come here tonight, that's gonna cost a lot of money, things that goes into the planning process.
It's part of
I know, but just let me finish, please. I'm just expressing myself. We're gonna do it, but I'm just telling you, it looks like it's just every time we come in here and we do what's right, we find a way for not to help us go forward. But this is what I'm gonna ask,
Did you hear my comment earlier?
Okay, no, I wanna ask a question.
You're asking to
I know,
irrevocably change
I'm not,
residential
we're not
piece of
building on the
property.
back part, I got it, but let me just finish. Can we, is there any law with us having church in the tent? Can I have church in the tent? It's my property, can I have church in the tent? Praise God.
That's not part of, that's
Praise
not,
God.
that's not part of this discussion.
Because we wanna praise God without a building,
So
That's something that's a whole different question,
Right.
and potentially, there could be a.
And I'm just trying to get,
permit or
I'm just trying to
something.
find out.
That's not a tonight question.
Right, because we're
Different
going into a
application.
whole nother piece, and we gotta go spend more money. We did the engineers, like you asked us, the lighting engineers, we paid for it, we bought it to you. Now you're asking us to bring our engineer here. So are we just trying to make sure, so you don't believe the engineer?
No.
What he wrote is
Did you not hear
down
what I said?
I did.
I said, I can't understand it, and I want the person that actually did it to explain things like that to us and the homeowners that are expressing concern. It's not personal. We've got homeowners that are incredibly concerned over what's being built there, and they're looking to us to look out for them, and so that's why I asked for it. It's not personal. I'm not trying to have you jump through hoops that aren't reasonable. But again, you're asking a big ask to take a residential property and irrevocably convert it to a commercial application. It's a big ask. We got a big responsibility to do this, and so it's not unreasonable to ask this.
Okay.
You want me to read it?
Sure. I'd like to
Make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we request additional information. By the way, that would be a no tonight on the decision, but a reconsideration with the following information. So they can choose to not submit this, but, it would be an OSSF study, water runoff, retention pond, including a year flood issue, the lighting engineer, the wall design and the impact, especially water, the engineer and hydrologist study, erosion control, and the impact of what TxDOT is going to be doing with the storm sewer system, and how it's gonna be dumped on the property, including the parking lot.
In essence, it's a preliminary plat.
There it is.
I would say that we're not saying no, we're postponing our answer.
It's no tonight,
Well,
but we'll reconsider
postpone
with
it.
this.
Yeah, if I'm in agreement if it's postponement,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Postpone. Oh, I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? All right, carried.
The motion is to postpone.
Yes.
Postpone
Pending further information.
the 5.4 recommendation from P and Z. Till we get all that other information.
Can I make a motion that we, do number agenda 3 and 4 quickly, and then possibly 5, 18, table everything else?
Yeah, but I just wanna, Mr. Speller, the quicker you can get this stuff into us, the quicker we can get this, to a vote, and, go from there, okay? Yes, ma'am.
Just as a follow-up, Ms. Leanne, will you, everything that you was required down to the T details, can you email that to me, please?
Yes.
And can I answer Mr. Roberts' question, something you mentioned in discussion about the turn lane for TxDOT?
We've actually kind of closed it,
Okay.
I should ask.
Well, I raised my hand, but y'all can.
Is anybody okay with hearing that? Okay.
I'm just gonna say, the turn lane, the left turn lane he was talking about into the property, that is on the TxDOT drawing.
Okay.
So
thank you.
at the Vista Oaks, that is on their drawing.
Perfect.
They put it in.
I wanna say one thing just real quickly. I know, I let a lot of citizens go over the 3-minute limit, but I think, due to the severity and the detail of this, topic tonight, I think that was warranted. I just want to let everybody know that. And from that, let's go to the number 3, which.
Yeah. Real quick, if you were here for this SUP, you're welcome to go home, catch the news, whatever, but we're moving on with other city business.
Thank you, everybody. All right, moving on to number 3, approval of our minutes.
You said, approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, approval number 4, approval of expenses.
Public procedure, expenses. I don't know if anybody in this room that's but we all quite concerned.
All in favor?
My concern is.
Y'all take a break. Guys, we can have y'all step out.
Okay.
The meeting, sir, the meeting is not adjourned. If y'all could take your conversation outside, I appreciate it.
Okay, so
Larry,
4.
hey. Hey.
4.1.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to make a motion, we approve 4.1, and delete the rest actions.
You're up on it? I second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on. 4-2.
I make a motion to approve the balance of accounts, review the mayor fund.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
All right, passes. Okay, were you wanting to go to 5.5 and whatever else?
We've actually got an IT thing we've got again,
No,
right?
we're gonna join him, we're gonna catch back up with
I
him.
make a motion
We have to do
that we
it.
skip to 518.
Do you have a second? Or actually, okay, so 5.5, 5.17, what are we gonna do?
postpone
518.
till we decide what we're doing.
If we go to 518, then I think then we.
Yeah, that'll answer the
You're
question.
postponing everything from what to what?
Everything. Maybe 518.
Okay, so
Work for me.
I have a motion to postpone everything.
I'll second that motion.
5.5 to 5.17. Do I have a second?
No, aren't you 518?
No, so, no,
Going
no,
to
so,
518.
so we're doing 518, so we're
Doing
doing
5.18 tonight. So
Yes,
you're-
I was telling John.
Yeah.
518.
Do I have the first?
It was me.
Hold on, make your motion. So it's coming from
Motion, we postpone everything through 517, and we pick up at 518.
Yes.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 518, discuss, consider act on a date and or dates for a special meeting in April.
Okay, so, I know one person said they were available the 11th. We've got, I think you said you were available 18th. Is that correct?
So we're talking morning, afternoon.
Do you all mind if I close that?
Yeah, let's go.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what you-
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, what were the dates again?
So here's the deal, so it would be, let's see,
You can close it.
sometime this week, but I have to have 72 days, 72 hours notice.
How about the
Or
18th,
sometimes-
how about the 18th or the 19th?
So the 19th is a no, because we're gonna be
Yep.
clobbered, with voting
Voting.
stuff.
The 16th in the evening?
The 16th,
I can't do the 16th.
I can't do Tuesdays and Thursdays.
so what do we got, Wednesday?
Monday the
I
15th?
can't do Wednesday.
Can y'all do Monday?
I could do the 11th, 12th, 18th, and 19th.
Why can't you do the 15th?
You can do 8.
That's tax day.
Yeah, you can't do 18.
I'm not even gonna be in the state on the 15th.
We're gonna be with you, right? Where we going?
We're going to St. Louis.
Did you say the 12th, Robert, did you say the 12th?
You could go there.
12th, can't do the 12th, because that's my anniversary, and I am not gonna be.
Okay, we can't do the 11th? No?
I can't in the morning or the afternoon.
Of the what?
11?
I can't be present on the 11th.
Okay.
I have prior
Oh, crap.
obligations.
Tuesdays and Thursdays are bad for me.
Saturday or Sunday? I mean, not
I'm
Sunday.
open,
Let's
of
do
course.
Saturday, maybe the 13th. No?
But it'll be Leanne's anniversary on the 12th. We're gonna have her come in on Saturday.
All right, let's do this. Leanne, give us one date and then I'll say yes or no.
Wait, Mr. Mayor, can Leanne,
Any date but the 12th.
can Leanne join us remotely? Since she's,
No, she's gotta be here.
No, I'm,
she's not a council person.
but I'm running all this,
You
this
gotta
is
run
my
it.
stuff.
Can we have her on Zoom to
She
do it?
can't do it remotely through Zoom?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
And we need 72 hours.
We could.
Yeah, I could do this, I might be able to get away with the 17th.
Guys, I can run tonight. It doesn't bother me. I'm good to go. We can work. It's up to y'all.
My only concern is Leanne, because it is, you know,
I drive an hour and a half home, guys.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
So it's already 10.
I'm either way. Yeah.
We've got a 2-hour drive.
All right,
The morning of the 16th?
Morning of the 16th? What is the 16th?
Tuesday.
Yes. You said Tuesdays and Thursdays?
I've got a
Tuesdays and Thursdays, I can't.
even do the
17th?
16th, I'll be gone.
17?
I could try to do the
We're on
17th.
17th.
17?
I'm good on 17th.
Right.
I'm not good on the 17th.
18th, on Thursday.
18th I can do.
I can do
I
18th.
gotta make sure I can get make sure the polling equipment's not gonna be in the way.
18th.
No, we can have them in.
When are they starting the early voting?
Starting's the 22nd, I believe that's on Monday, but they've got to
Is it
deliver and set up the equipment, which is really.
18th.
Well, they usually deliver it and don't set it up until closer to the time that
Well,
it's-
I've got to call into him right now to find
Yeah.
out what is,
Can we go for the 18th then?
we can try.
Morning, afternoon, or evening?
evening,
I'm open. That's a Thursday.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock on the 18th, we'll shoot for that one.
7 o'clock.
Something goes bad there, somebody let me know. That's everybody's on the 17th?
17?
Can we,
Or 18th, I mean.
18th.
18th at
Hold on,
7.
hold on, let me,
you gotta make sure Mark.
Yeah,
I need to make
Well,
sure
the
I'm
reality
going to
is-
be in town. 22nd.
Reality is,
Come on,
we can,
Councilman.
we can miss one.
No pressure? Okay, yeah, no. I'll be out of the country after that, but no, I'll be good. I'm good.
18th at 7? Or are you getting excited about a different day?
Okay, I thought it was the 17th, hold on. What's the date? Clarify the date for me.
The 18th, Thursday evening.
Thursday evening, the 18th.
It's the day after Wednesday.
And the day before Friday.
Hey, can you edit that? It's getting late.
It's a Thursday, so I'm gonna be cutting it, but that's what I can do.
18th, 7.
Okay, 18th, green light.
Green light.
Green light.
Do I have
18th.
first?
I make a motion, we,
Oh, we already
Adjourn.
did that, didn't we? Never
Sorry.
mind. Oh, wait.
why don't you make a motion, we adjourn?
No, we gotta make a motion to have a meeting.
Oh, I'm
So I
sorry.
make a motion that we have a special meeting at 7 o'clock on Thursday, April the 18th.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Nah.
Turn.
All right.
All right, now I'll make a motion that we postpone 19 through 23
To the,
to the special meeting on the 18th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, carries.
okay, first, sorry, JT was second. First,
Now you can make your motion, John.
back up, first. I got my
You second it.
I second.
It was first.
David.
Okay, David's on it tonight.
All right.
Adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Was that Robert or?
JT wants to hang out. You can hang out, but you're gonna be on your own.
All right, let's clear out.